What's up, friends? My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to Monday Night Madness. Antenna testing tonight. 6 batteries, Q&A as always, and more repairs on the Tiny Whoop fleet. Kind of got away from me. I didn't realize so many rigs were suffering. So yeah, when you have a bunch, it's easy to just like, oh, this one's not working right, put it aside. So yeah, get the fleet back healthy and talk about, you know, what we're doing, why we're doing it along the way, and you guys can learn how to troubleshoot and kind of keep an eye on the health of your own fleet is the philosophy here. In the chat, hold on. Top chat. Nope, that's it. That ain't it. Live chat. There we go. That's the one. If you want to talk directly to me, all I got to do is type CiottiFPV. It'll light up an orange if you do it. Massive shout out to Chris Wells Clark, our newest, one of our newest top patrons. Extremely generous Patreon tier. Thank you so much, brother. Welcome to the Gangly Gang. Glad to have you. And it finally got here. Good Lord. The U.S. Postal Service took almost a month to get my Tiny Whoop package here. Has nothing to do with Tiny Whoop, nothing to do with Jesse. He put it in the mail just like he should have, you know, day after I placed the order. And then, I don't know, what USPS just, tracking was weird, man. It was just, I don't know. It took the longest possible route to get here, I guess. Unfortunately, I don't have it here. It's out in the mailbox. I guess I feel bad doing this, but I guess I can text Maggie. Can you please get a package for me out of the mailbox and bring it down? Brigot down. Great. Well, I can't type. She'll probably understand it. So yeah, maybe we can do mailbag. If not, that's fine. The new prop, the clone popper is in there, which I'm super curious about. Also, the new HQ 40mm biblades are in there. Mobula 6 2024 clear frame. Meteor 75 Air. What did I get one of those for? I guess I just got one as an extra. And then some custom dyed fun stuff. Oh, and a Beta FPV Cross AIO. Why did I get one of those? Did I get one of those as an extra? I need the... Oh, yeah, right. For the other walk snail rig. Now I can't do it though. I need another walk snail light because I realized that this one is blown up. So I am going to send this one to Caddx for repair. But I've heard a lot of people say that they've had walk snail light VTXs fail on them. So I would like to have an extra one. So what I'll do is I'll mail this one that's messed up out, order another one, and then whenever they finish repairing it and send it back, that'll be the extra. Try to have extra stuff, friends. It's really it really, like, if you're trying to get good, if you're trying to stay in the air, and if you don't love repairing stuff, having so two things that can help you out a ton. Try to do very similar builds, right? Like, this is why I try to pick, like, lately, walk snail versus HD0, right? If I had one rig on walk snail, one rig on HD0, and then you got to have just the more variance you've got. If you want to try to keep extra stuff in, it like doubles and triples the amount of shit that you have to buy. And then maybe the HD0 never fails and you're just stuck with this extra one forever. Or maybe walk snail never fails and you're stuck with this one forever, right? Versus if you pick and if you try to use the same components on as many different builds as possible, you can have, like, in my case, you can have like 5 or 6 different Whoop builds that all use the same AIO. And then I just have to have one extra AIO in. And then regardless of which one of those rigs lets go, you've got the extra, away you go. It's why 1, 2, 3, 4 of these 5-inch rigs share almost the exact same flight controller, ESC, motors, frame, cameras. What else do we use to build? VTXs, receivers. Yeah, they're very, very, very similar builds. And this way I can have one immersion RC tramp backup, one 35 amp Acon ESC backup, one, down the sometimes you do have to change, right? Like, so this is like a high speed build, so it doesn't share the same motors. It's got a much bigger motor on it. It's got the FPV Cycle 25 millimeter motors on it. So, like, sometimes, right, because a lot of times one build is for one thing. Like, so this is like the cinematic build, but the only difference is the dead cat arms on the front. It shares the same motors and ESC and flight controller. These are the basher freestyle builds. So, like, sometimes there is going to be a part here and there that needs to change, but a lot of times, like, the ESC, like, there's no reason to have a different ESC on any of these. 35 amps is plenty, even with the big-ass motors. Flight controller. No real reason to change that. There's nothing on one flight controller that's going to make it better at, bando bashing versus cinematic stuff versus long range. Maybe if you pick a flight controller that doesn't have enough UARTs, and then for your long range rig you need an extra UART for GPS or something like that, maybe. But pick a flight controller that has 3 or 4 UARTs and then you'll be fine, right? So yeah, like, let that, in my opinion, that should be a part of your decision-making process when you pick your components, right? Like when you pick your flight controller, don't pick one that's got 2 UARTs. That's not going to be, that's not going to sort of future-proof you. It's worth it to pay an extra couple of bucks for a couple of extra UARTs so that you can have something that you can use on the entire fleet, yada, yada, yada. Cool. That's something that I actually learned back in motorsport days. You know, like it's very tempting to go ballistic on your race car and start drilling holes and stuff to save weight and doing all this custom work. Well, it's like then you bang it up or somebody bangs into it and you've got like 100 hours tied up in all this like super custom work. You can't just buy off the shelf parts to replace it with. You have to go back in and put all that time in again. It's a little bit different with FPV, but same sort of theory. In the chat, Douglas Otwell was first, Denzel the Terrible was second, Raging Leet, Scotty Scott, CMYK, Wake and Bake, Slow Cow, Sprout, McMucus, Scotty Scott again, Metal Dirt Skin, Riot 9, Ramadah, CBFPV, Lucky Denzel the Terrible, Douglas Otwell, Riot 9, Walter Van, Mac FPV, Denzel the Terrible again, 661 FPV, Adam Weston, Ant BVTHC, Northern Tier. Come on, mouse, work, you bastard. I have a new mouse on the way. Rabid Ribbit. That's a fun name. There's a story behind that name. 661. CMYK again. Anonymous. CBFPV. 10-second runtime. 10-second runtime. That's another good one. Tongue Out FPV. Metal Dirt Skin. Is that everybody? I think I got everybody. Newt McFly. I posted the stream really late, so there'll be a bunch of people coming in late, and they'll miss having the gangliest of gangly. Say their name. We're gonna do some antenna testing tonight, and you people need to be the judges of it because I have to wear goggles to fly, and the antenna testing that we're gonna do is gonna be on the little module that sends the VTX feed into OBS. So we're going to try a whip antenna, we're going to try a TrueRC Singularity, and we're going to try a TBS I forget what this antenna is called. It's such an old antenna, I forget what it's called. But yeah, we're going to try all three, and then you guys get to tell me which one looks the best. This is bleed over from last night. One of the repairs that I wanted to do was I put it on the shelf already, but I wanted to take the janky Jankalotopus antenna off, the super lightweight, in theory, super shittily performing antenna off, and put one of the really nice ultra short TrueRC Singularities back on. And when I did that, I and all of you noticed worse image quality. And I believe that it's antenna placement related. And you know, we can test that tonight too. We can test antenna placement. So I've got this little VRX here, and it's gonna, for the purposes of the testing, it's gonna sit right here. It's gonna sit right over here on the desk, right? And so like this antenna is going to have the biggest advantage because the active part of the antenna is right up here. So it's going to be as far away from the wood as possible. This is going to be second best because I'm going to bend it up like that. So it's going to be plugged in and it's going to be bent up like that. So the head of the antenna is a little bit up off the desk. The TrueRC Singularity is going to suffer the worst because it's going to be like that right against the desk, right? But then what we can do, it's weird. What we can do to back that testing up is I'll take this guy and I'll hang it up on top of the studio lights up there. Well, fucking A. So what I'll do is I'll put it up and I'll hang it off one of those. There's the wire. There's the wire. I have just enough wire to kind of loop it up over like that. And then we'll let it hang down like that. This is much better antenna placement. I'll actually hang it up farther, like that. Yeah. Hey. I'll get it later. So yeah, we'll do a test with the antenna. What I'll do is we'll let the TrueRC Singularity be. So we're gonna test linear antenna and then the TBS antenna, old school TBS antenna, and then the TrueRC Singularity, which is kind of regarded as the best of our current antennas. This is going to suffer really bad on this, like I said, sitting on the table. So then what we'll do, the last test, is we'll hang this guy up, and then you'll get to see what a difference antenna placement makes. I'll bet you this sucks when it's sitting on the table, and then when I put it up there, it's the best. So I have a feeling, basically what we're going to do is we're going to go from the second best antenna placement with the worst antenna to the third worst, the third best antenna placement with a fine antenna, to the worst antenna placement with potentially the best antenna, to the best antenna placement with the best antenna. So you should, yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm excited to see what you all have to say. I won't be able to tell because I'll be in the goggles. I can't wait to see what you guys say. I hear someone coming down the stairs. Everybody, show some love for the best person on earth that is hand delivering me mail.
At your service.
This has taken almost a month to get here. I got lost. What's this? That's just garbage.
And then, yep.
Is it my garbage or is it your garbage mail?
These are mine.
Your garbage mail.
I think Tedward is ready to go to bed.
Put him to bed. Get him out of here.
Do you need him here as a mascot tonight?
Teddy, come here.
Say
Hi,
goodnight.
buddy. Look, this is a dog. He's a bad boy. He's been so bad all day. He's always bad. But today he was especially bad.
Say goodnight.
So this is what bad boys get. They get shaken.
Okay. Is he going potty?
I don't know. Maybe. There he
Yes,
is.
no. So that,
There you guys go.
No.
Probably not.
Okay.
I haven't let him out in a bit.
So I just left. All right, have a good stream. Love you.
Thank you. There it is, yo. The tiny Voop box. And I think this is an Amazon order that took forever to get here that will be, that you all will be interested in. So let's, that's from Mighty Car Mods. Go subscribe to their channel or else I'll smack you. CiottiFPV.com is my website. If you like what I'm doing and want to see it continue, I rely on beautiful people like you. Go over there, join my Patreon. That gives you the most benefits, and it's super cheap. $3 a month, 10 cents a day, 7.5 cents an hour of live streaming. Etsy store where you can get some fun stuff. Teespring store where you can get some even more fun stuff. Fiverr page where you can work one-on-one with me, and then a whole bunch of affiliate links. If you're ordering anything on the internet and you're not using affiliate links, you are hurting the people that are making the free content for you to watch. Why would you do? Why hurt us? Why would you hurt us? What did we do to you? We've tried to help you. It's okay. You didn't do it on purpose. You forgot. It's all right. Just, you know, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I haven't gotten to say that yet. I need to say that. I'm allowed to say that now. There's 2 people that I'm allowed to say that to, I think. More drill bits. But no pin vices. I was hoping that this package would have the drill bits and the pin vices, but yeah, this is another set of I got 2 different types of 0.99 0.99 millimeter drill bits. I'm going to test them both to see which ones, in theory, they're the same. I bet you they're not. Once the proper pin vices come, I'm going to test these to see which one is ever so slightly smaller. That's the one that I'd rather go with, right? Remove less material. So yeah, at some point here, once the pin vices get here, they're dual-sided pin vices. I'm going to put 0.99 millimeter drill bit in one side, 1.5 millimeter drill bit in the other side, and then you beautiful bastards can buy them from me so that you can stop ruining motors by putting on propellers that fit too tight on the motor shafts. next time you buy super glue, for the love of God, don't buy a big bottle of it. It's just gonna dry up again. I got these fancy ass. It happened to me a bunch of times, and so, and I had been buying little things of crazy glue to try to not be so wasteful. It feels weird. It's like you're being wasteful in order to not be wasteful. You're being wasteful of plastic to not be wasteful of CA. I bought this expensive ass 3M cyanoacrylate, where the hell it is. Cyanoacrylate, yeah, that's how it's pronounced. Because I noticed that the cap on these in the pictures, you're not gonna be able to see it, but inside of there's like a pinhole, and there's like a pin, and so that pin goes into the nozzle, and I thought, oh, that'll make it not dry out. It dried out, and in the garbage it goes. It's filled all the way up to here, and in the garbage it goes. So yeah, this was like $5 on Amazon. So next time you need CA, get a big pack of these little guys. I'm gonna start throwing one of these on like every order that I do, and I'm just gonna every single giveaway I do is gonna have a little one of these guys in it, because yeah, can't have enough tiny little things of super glue. Like, man, when you when you need it, you have it. Oh boy, that's a treat. That is a real fucking treat. So yeah, I couldn't believe how cheap this was on Amazon. So get you one, or just wait to win one. Tiny Whoop box, yo! What a time to be alive. Man, this is worth the wait. I didn't bitch, I didn't moan, I just kept my eye on the tracking number and just exercised patience. I could have probably bitched and moaned and gotten it a little bit faster, but, you know, whatever. It showed up. This is the first thing that's in the box. Ah, you're not going to be able to read that. Hold on. Oh, man. We do not deserve Jesse Perkins. What did we do to deserve Jesse Perkins? Not enough. We didn't do enough. Let's see what kind of a note we got here. I always like to see what Jesse or Nightwing has to say. It's Nightwing this time. Says, "What up, Ciotti? I heard you were looking for a Runcam Nano 3. I got one for you. Whoop on." No way! Nightwing. You sly son of a bitch, you. Oh, shit! It didn't... Here, this is what was supposed to happen. Oh, wait, it's not... Go! Oh! This thing is... I think this thing is supposed to explode out of the box. But the, it's very... This is very cold. And the rubber band is... The rubber band is very cold. The rubber band is very upset. Well, Al, you know what it is? This rubber band has been twisted up under tension for a month, and now you can see it. It's just the rubber band is just ruined. That's a shame. That would have been absolutely hysterical to have this jump out of the box a minute ago. Come on, man. You USPS, you fucked us. There could have been a genuine reaction. Send your hate mail to USPS. Yeah, this rubber band is ruined. It's like all gummy and like stuck together and shit. All right, cool. So I'm gonna be messaging. I'm gonna leave this out because I'm gonna message Nightwing and make him an offer he can't refuse for that Runcam Nano 3. I wonder if he has one of the old ones. That would be insane. Remember when I had those two old Runcam Nano 3s? That was so cool. It sucks that I broke them. Although, I didn't really think that they were all that much, if any, better than the current one. The current Runcam Nano 3 is really good. Like, it's got the shittiest, jankiest lens ever, but it works. And I don't... Yeah, I don't know. Current gen Runcam Nano 3 is magic. So we've got a custom dyed blue Meteor 75 Air. You can always tell this is the sticker that Jesse puts on. It says hand dyed, all the hand dyed stuff. This is rad. This is a brand new frame that he's hand dyeing. So yeah, that's super cool. They make it in like a really light blue, but it's not the blue you want. This is the blue you want right here. I don't know what I'm doing with this, but I just saw it was a color that I was kind of into, and I was like, yeah. Gimme. And it's, you know, $5 or whatever. It's like $1 more than you would pay for a non-dyed version. Some hand-dyed, what are these, 1610s? Yeah, 1610s. Little bit of a darker blue than, this is a new little hand-dyed sticker. A little bit of a darker blue than the normal ones. These are hand-dyed HQ YOLO props, a little bit darker blue than, I don't have the light blue ones, but yeah, a little bit of a darker blue there. A very cool purple hand-dyed YOLO prop. Look at that. You can kind of see it used to be pink on the inside there, and then the outside is purple. These are the new 40 millimeter bi-blades from HQ, and somebody told me that these are not drilled through, but it looks like they are. So that's awesome. That is good news. They are drilled all the way through the top. Hopefully the top part is not, I'll tell you right now, 0.99 millimeter drill bit test. Ah! Let's see. Come on, just give me one. There we go. So, yeah, I think whoever said that was right. Doesn't want to go down through the top. So, yeah, 0.99 millimeter drill bit, absolute necessity, as usual. These will be available sooner than later. I promise. I think those are all the props I got. Again, like when you're doing orders, if that place sells propellers that you don't have, buy them. They're cheap and they make the biggest difference in flight characteristics. Meteor 75 Air in black. I have no idea what. Oh! I have a. It's actually about to go onto a build, maybe tonight. I have the smoke crotch gray, but I saw that they have black as well, and I'm really impressed by this frame, so I figured, what the hell? What's another couple of dollars to have some extra stuff floating around? For me, you know, like, it's easy for me to buy this extra stuff because if I don't use it, I can put it into a giveaway, right? Like, I have to buy all kinds of stuff for the giveaways anyway, so it makes a lot of sense for me to snag cool stuff when it's in stock, which is kind of the other thing. Like, a lot of times if I see something that's in stock that's been out of stock before, I'm like, well, I don't need it today, but let me snag it because it might go out of stock forever. And I can always just put it into a giveaway if I'm not going to end up using it. Clone prop popper. We'll look at that again in a second. This... Oh, shit, he threw it in here. Runcam Nano 3. Dude. Amazing. Nightwing. Thank you, brother. Yeah. Oh, very cool. Very, very, very cool. And it's got the right plug on it. So this is going to get used maybe tonight. Because I have to pull this is the analog Jungle Gym basher. And I'm pulling the motors off of this. And so I might as well swap the canopy. I put this McStinky on because I didn't have any extra Runcam Nano 3s. I would much rather have this camera on here. So, yeah. We'll put this onto a Runcam Nano 3 tonight. Amazing. Amazing! Thank you, Nightwing. Very, very cool. The box that the Runcam Nano comes in is like the strangest little... It's so weird. I think it's a Happymodel box, yeah. So weird that the Runcam Nano 3 comes in a Happymodel box, but I've gotten a couple of them that have been in this box. It's not like just this one. Blue Sour Patch Kid, as you do. What is this? It's worth a couple grams to look this good. I don't even know what this is. Look at this. amazing little holographic package. What are you? Is this a... Oh, this is a Cobb LED, isn't it? Oh, yeah. Oh, get out of there. Oh, yeah, right. So this is this... I have no idea what I'm going to do with this, but I think this is like a headlight. Will this sit on the front of one of these frames? Maybe? Yeah, I'm going to figure something cool to do out with this. This is a Cobb LED. This is like one big bright bastard. I'm going to do something cool with this. I'm going to do something very cool with this. This is the sticker. It says Cobb on it, as in Cobb LED. Ooh! Look at this little holographic package it comes in. I'm going to put it right back in there. Yes. Yeah, what am I going to do with this? I mean, there's only one thing to do with it, which is to build a night whoop. I just gotta figure out how to mount it. That's gonna be the challenge, is how do I mount that on the front, pointing upwards a little bit. Probably don't need to point it upwards. I can probably just point it forwards. But yeah, how do I do that? It's kind of long. In the picture, I guess I didn't realize it was so long. I think there's a chance that I just saw it and went, ooh, I like LEDs. I might not have thought it through all the way. I might not have thought at all about how to mount it, is what I meant to say just now. But instead I said other words that don't make much sense. That is a corn-flavored hard candy. That's very weird, and I love it. Here is a hand-dyed Mobula 6 canopy. It's like a, if I remember correctly, it's like a navy blue. Yeah, look at that. Look at that, like a nice dark. It's hard to see it. It just looks gray. Hold on, let's see if this picks it up a little bit better. Yeah, there you can see it, like a dark navy blue. I guess Jesse is taking the gray canopy and then dyeing it blue to get this like dark kind of navy blue. So I'll match this up with. Nah, it doesn't really work. Doesn't really work with this frame here. It just ends up looking black. I'll probably match this up with like a smoke crotch gray frame, and then it'll you know. Kilo Zerber says lies. The corn candy tastes amazing. Corn on the cob LED, indeed. Dancilla. Mac FPV says don't eat that, nasty. And then this is the clear version of the Mobula 6 2024 frame. This needs to go on something because this is a little bit lighter than the well, maybe not. Maybe this is just a backup frame for this guy. When I eventually do break the frame on the Mobula 6 2024. Yeah. That's why I bought this. Right. So I'm just, continuing to smash and bash and thrash this. Eventually, I will break this frame. At that point, I'll swap it over to the clear frame, and that's when I'll take this camera and canopy that I don't necessarily love off, and I'll put it into a clear Mobula 6 canopy with a Runcam Nano 3, and then we will continue the saga of the... Oh, yeah! I've even got Runcam Nano 3s without connectors on them. So, yeah, perfect. This Runcam Nano 3 with the bare wires will get soldered to the Mobula 6 2024 board, which no longer has the camera connector, and this frame will get put on it. So this is how I remind myself of shit. I will just put this on my desk in a nice little pile. And, yeah. That way I remember my genius idea. Cool. This other Runcam Nano 3, I will be putting a connector on to use on something else, just not right now. And then the Beta FPV Cross, which is going to be used for the last of the Walk Snail Tiny Whoops. Once I get another Walk Snail light board, because I'm now out of them. Very cool. Well worth the wait. And a blue giant Sour Patch Kid. Awesome. Thank you, Nightwing. Thank you, Jesse Perkins. Thank you, everybody else over at tinywhoop.com. No thanks to you, USPS, you jerks. That's fine. Everybody makes mistakes, man. It's not like I was desperately waiting for anything in here, you know? What do we need? We need food, water, and love, my friends. We don't necessarily need Tiny Whoop parts. It's never as serious as our brains make it out to be. Confusion is an important part of the unboxing experience. I love it. A couple of stickers. These will end up going in the thing in the place. Get all that? Did you guys get all that? Did you get it all? In the chat, if you want to talk directly to me, all you got to do is type CiottiFPV. If you do that, it will light up an orange for me, and I'll see it. Danzilla Terrible tagged me and said, let's go. Send it already. That makes me want to throw up. I hate those things. You guys know that. Stop messing with me. CMYK says, yo, what's good? CiottiFPV and Gangly Gang. CMYK also says, put on a Discord video and go grab it. AntBVTHC says, my 5-inch is only doing 3 beeps and not the last 2. But when I plug in the battery while it's connected to the PC, I get all 5 beeps. What are the possible problems? Ant, great question. Perfect opportunity to dive into troubleshooting. I am going to break this down to its component parts, not because I think you're dumb, but because lots of new people tune into these live streams. So this is not me insulting your intelligence at all. This is me doing this for the good of everyone. Cool? And then we're going to look at the prop popper. So, you've got a 5-inch rig. This applies to any rigs that have separate flight controllers and ESCs. Trace the path, basically, is what we're going to go over. You plug power in. The power goes down the battery wires into the ESC. The ESC now beeps 3 times, ba-ba-ba, or the Blue Jay beep sequence, whatever. But the ESC beeps. That is the first set of beeps. That is saying, hey, I'm an ESC. I've now got power. I'm not completely bricked. And I'm connected to motors. The motors are what does the actual beeping, right? There's no speaker on the ESC. The ESC is wired up to motors, hopefully. And then the motors vibrate really quickly to produce those beeps. So, first 3 beeps tell you that the ESC is receiving power, the motors are properly connected, and the ESC is not bricked. It's got some sort of somewhat working firmware on it, all right? Now, the next 2 beeps, boop, boop, those are the flight controller saying, hey, I'm here too, and I'm somewhat healthy. I've got some sort of a version of beta flight on me that is working at least a little bit, but you got to have 2 things. You got to have power going up to the flight controller, right? So you're going to have a VBAT and a ground line coming out of your plug header of the ESC going up to the flight controller's plug header, or you could direct solder it on some. So the flight controller has to have power in order for it to fire up and produce and tell the ESC to make those 2 beeps. But it also has to have some sort of a data connection. And that is in the form of the 4 motor wires that, again, go between the connector on the ESC and the connector on the flight controller or direct soldered. If you're having like a weird problem with one motor, for example, one of the ways that you can troubleshoot that is feed it power, get it to make those 3 startup beeps. The 3 startup beeps are produced from... So here would be a way for you to troubleshoot if there's a problem between the motor and the ESC or a problem between the ESC and the flight controller. So if you've got a motor wire that's chopped, the first 3 beeps are not going to play on that motor, and you can just you can just pinch the motors. So you could plug the battery in and then quickly pinch the motors, and you'll feel it. Bzz, bzz, you just feel it. It's vibrating to make that sound, and you will feel it in your fingers. So what you could do is plug the battery in, pinch 2 motors. Okay, I felt it on both motors. Unplug the battery, plug it back in, pinch 2 other motors. I felt it on those motors too. Now you know that the ESC is connected to all 4 motors, and that all 4 channels of the ESC are not bricked, right? Weird shit can happen when you're updating an ESC and it updates 3 but not the 4th, and the 4th ESC channel has some weird version of the firmware on it that doesn't work. That would be a troubleshooting step for you. Or if you think, so that could be the first part of your troubleshoot. If you think maybe that like the connector is screwed up, like maybe you bent one of the pins in the connector, or the wires between the flight controller and the ESC, if you think maybe one of those wires got cut or doesn't have a connection, you could then do that same test, beep, 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 wait, keep pinching the motors, and wait for the last 2 beeps, because the last 2 beeps are the flight controller sending the signal down through those 4 motor wires into the ESC. So if you are pinching 2 of the motors and you feel the first 3 beeps, but then on only one of those 2 motors you don't feel the last 2 beeps, that's a signal that either one of those wires between the flight controller and the ESC is broken, or it could be like a resource. If the motor resources got screwed up somehow, which we don't really mess with anymore now that we have the motor direction and the motor placement wizards, but back in the day we would have to reassign motor resources, and if you typed AO3 instead of AO2 by accident, it would screw that up. And so in that case, if there was a motor resource problem, that would be another scenario where those last 2 beeps that are coming from the flight controller to the ESC, you would not feel them in one motor. Your problem is a little bit different. Well, no, so we might have already gone over your problem. Can you kind of guess? I'm not caught up on chat, but I'll give you a second to kind of think about it, right? So you've got a situation where plug power in, you get 3 beeps, so your ESC is fine. If you want, you can pinch the motors to make sure that all 4 channels are fine, but that's not your problem. You don't get the extra 2 beeps, all right? If you look at your flight controller, what you'll probably notice is there's no flashing lights on it. The VBAT, you plug battery power in, the ESC gets power, it feeds power up to the flight controller, and then the flight controller takes that raw battery voltage and it puts it through a 5-volt regulator or a 3.3-volt regulator, and then it spreads that power out among the flight controller to power all the chips and shit. And so in your scenario, you're not getting those last 2 flight controller beeps. So the flight controller is either not getting power at all, or it's not sending the signal back to the ESC that says, hey, I'm good, everything is fine with me. When you plug your flight controller into USB is 5-volt. So the 5-volt through the USB is now powering that flight controller. And so with the flight controller powered, when you power your ESC, 3 beeps from the ESC, voltage not necessarily going up to the flight controller because the flight controller is being powered by the USB, but those last 2 beeps mean that the flight controller is able to talk to the ESC through those 4 motor wires. And so so the question becomes, when did this behavior start? If this behavior started when you slammed it into a metal pole at 7,000 miles an hour, more than likely what happened is you blew up the 5-volt regulator on the flight controller. And so now, you can't fly it with the USB plugged in, right? So without the USB plugged in, the flight controller is not getting 5-volt or 3.3 volts. It could have also been the 3.3-volt regulator. But regardless, the flight controller is not getting power to all of the chips on it. So the proper way to troubleshoot this is to make sure that the flight controller is getting power from the ESC. So technically you pull the plug, you get your multimeter out. You can probably cheat it. And what you can do is plug power into the ESC, VBAT full voltage goes up to the flight controller, and then you probably have something plugged into the flight controller that is VBAT powered, like a VTX maybe. And so if you plug a battery in and that VBAT powered device starts flashing and has power, then you know that it's the 5-volt regulator, because the flight controller probably won't be blinking. Of course, check that first, right? Plug power in, see if any of the lights come on in the flight controller. They probably won't until you plug it into USB, because then it'll get 5 volts. If you don't have something hooked up, so the way that the flight controller works is that the VBAT comes up through that plug header, and then any of the pads on the flight controller that are also VBAT, there's just a layer of copper inside of there that just goes straight to those pads. So that's why you can kind of do that. If you don't have something plugged in on those VBAT pads, you can just take your multimeter. I try to do everything without the multimeter because I'm lazy. Also, because if you learn how to do this shit without a multimeter, when you're in Mexico and you don't have your multimeter, you can troubleshoot shit. Get your multimeter, though, and just put it on 2 of the VBAT pads. This way you don't have to unplug that cable, right? Put the multimeter on 2 of the VBAT pads, feed the ESC power, and see if they get VBAT on them. More than likely, a very, very, very common failure on flight controllers is the 5-volt or the 3.3-volt regulators failing. They're just more fragile than a lot of the other components for some strange reason. And that's a fairly common failure. Technically, what you can do is take the VBAT off the ESC, run it to an external 5-volt regulator, and then wire that 5-volt regulator up to any of the 5-volt pads on the flight controller. All of the 5-volt pads are connected, and so it will spread that 5-volt out, and it will actually power the flight controller, just like when you plugged in 5 volts from the USB. The problem with doing that is you will never have battery voltage in your OSD again, and it sucks. I've done it, and it's like you fly it for like a week, and you just get super annoyed because you're going to end up cooking a battery, and you're going to blow a $20 or $30 battery up. You could have spent $30 or $40 on a replacement flight controller in the first place, and then you wouldn't have ruined that battery. You're not going to run it like that forever, so to me, just replace the flight controller. But yeah, that is how the flow of electricity works, and that is a really, really, really nice way that you can troubleshoot this shit out in the field when you don't have your multimeter and when, weird stuff starts happening. I'm going to take a guess that you slammed the rig into something really hard. That tends to be when the 5-volt regulators, 3.3-volt regulators die. Super common thing. Welcome to the game, my friend. Welcome to breaking FPV parts. It's it won't be the last time that happens to you. It's super annoying because the rest of the flight controller is fine. The gyro is fine. The processor is probably fine. OSD chip is fine. At least it wasn't an AIO. At least you just only have to throw away a flight controller. You don't have to also throw away ESC FETs, a perfectly good set of VTX chips, receiver chips, right? You're just throwing away the flight controller. But yeah, there you go. There's your, let us know what it is. Do take that troubleshooting path and let us know what the problem is. If I lost you at any point in there, just tag me and tell me where I lost you, and I'll explain it in a different way. 661FPV says, I also received the box from Tiny Whoop today, ordered a few days ago. Got the Tooth Store 2S charger and some other things. Very cool. That's an awesome charger. CBFPV says, is the Hawkeye Firefly Split V4 still relevant for analog, no GoPro in 2024? I don't actually remember what that is. Boy, oh boy, can I not wait for my replacement mouse to come. Jesus, hell, ass. This thing. Yeah, I mean, for just screwing around, it's going to be way better quality than analog. But yeah, I mean, this is not gonna this is not going to come anywhere close to the quality that you're going to get from a GoPro. You probably don't expect it to, but just for the sake of saying it, yeah. Yeah, I mean, anything better than analog goggle anything is better than analog goggle DVR. But this is a split cam. Because it's a split camera, your FPV feed is going to kind of suffer. So I don't know. I've tried it. I've not tried this one, but I've tried a lot of these split setups, and I've just never been able to fly worth a damn with them. Like it's been this really annoying situation where it's like I have this cool way of getting better than analog DVR footage, but then my flying sucks because there's more latency. And the thing that usually kills me is they're very for the FPV feed, they're very narrow field of view. I think what they do is that for the HD, they use the entire sensor. So the HD footage looks normal, 150, 155, 160 degree field of view. I think what they do for the FPV feed, instead of taking that big HD image and then processing it and shrinking it, what they seem to do is just crop. And they just crop on that to get the right analog is 480 by 276 maybe. HD is either 720. I'm sorry, it's vertical. HD is either 720 or 1080 vertical. Analog is 480. So it crops in so that it only uses 480 out of the either 720 or 1080 pixels that image sensor has. So your field of view, you just feel like you're flying around like this, and it's like, it's brutal. If you're flying a straight line and you're trying to shoot a gate that's really far away, it'll actually help because it's like zoomed in, right? It's like digitally cropping in. But for anything else, and for freestyle flying, it's kind of a nightmare. So I've never been able to fly worth a damn with the split camera setups, which is super annoying because, yeah, it's a really cool setup of HD onboard DVR and then same lens, same camera sending to your goggles. The O3, the DJI O3 setup is the most sophisticated split setup ever. And there's still some, and the fact that it's a split setup, it's got a bunch of problems. It's phenomenal for what it is, but one of the main problems is that like if you want 30 frame per second flight footage, which you do, you have to fly in 30 frames a second, which has a bunch of additional latency. To take a chunk of that latency away, you got to go to 60 frames a second, and then you're going to sacrifice some motion blur. So yeah, any of these split camera setups come with a bunch of negatives, unfortunately. The positive being they're simple, one lens, one camera, lighter weight, right? This is one of the reasons why the RunCam Hybrid, I love the RunCam Hybrid so much. I still kind of do, but it's getting a little older. And some other stuff is an awful lot better than it. But yeah, the RunCam Hybrid, 2 sensors, 2 lenses. It was a little bit heavier because the camera case was bigger and there was a second lens and a second sensor, but it wasn't that much heavier, and you got a full-blown FPV camera, sensor, lens setup, nice wide field of view, super low latency, and then you also had a semi-decent HD setup. I would love for there to be like a dual lens DJI setup, you know what I mean? With like a proper like Mavic sensor and lens, and then just a tiny little FPV sensor and lens tagged onto the bottom of it, but they'll never do that. So 10-second runtime says, bet you'll like the clone more. I kept the clone and gave away my OG prop popper. I'll let you know in a minute. Let me get a little bit more caught up on chat. Rabbit FPV says, watched your video on Throttle Expo, and after 7 years of trying to get good and failing, I can finally do tricks and more than just fly around. That is... I've had a whole bunch of people say something similar, but nothing quite that drastic. That's amazing, Rabbit. Yeah, I wish that... It's weird, man. Like it's because Joshua and It's Blunty, who were, brilliant, obviously. It's because they're pretty anti-Throttle Expo. I think that so many other people are very anti-Throttle Expo. I wish more people would try it, because there are certain rigs that it is absolute magic on. And it's so good, and if you really like dive into it and set it properly and take a couple of minutes, it actually kind of works on everything. Yeah, it's magic. I got a little sassy on my Instagram. I'm just gonna play it for. I don't think I'll get copyright dinged. I might, but it's Chris Rosser. He'll probably be cool. Check this out, friends. Oh, what the hell? Did it not, why did it not upload? What is happening, Instagram? Upload my shit. Oh, it still says uploading. Come on now. Why does it do this sometimes? Oh, there we go. Go. Finish uploading. Come on. It's going. There it goes. All right, ready? Here you go. God, I love Chris Rosser so much. It's just so satisfying to see someone dive into like actual data and do testing and come to the same conclusions that I've been screaming and yelling about for literally years. Here it is. Come on, man. No, come on. Get in there. It uploaded. Can't you just be there for me? Come on, it's there. Come on. Update. There it is.
Forever.
All right, here.
Listen up, kids. I've been preaching this forever. So nice to hear Chris say it with testing.
We see that particularly with Mr. Steele's props and motors. He makes very light pitch props that don't produce much thrust, and his motors are quite weak. They don't produce much power. And so that gives him a lot of low throttle control, a lot of low throttle precision at the cost of very little top end power. So that's the trade-off that he's making. If you have access to RC smoothing, throttle expo, and throttle scale because you're flying beta flight, then you can have the best of both worlds. You don't have to give up top end power to get low throttle precision. What you're much better off doing is picking a motor that's very powerful, very responsive, is far to the right on this chart, something made by RCM Power or the AOS Supernova, and then getting that low.
It's almost like I know what I'm talking about. It's so weird. All these people are just like, nah, man, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Fucking beta flight shell, fucking kiss for life, bro. Kiss for life. It's almost like, it's so weird. It's so weird, man. I don't know. Crazy. I mean, could it be? Could it be that they don't know shit? No. They overspent on a bunch of stuff. That means that they're smarter. And they know what they're talking about because they spent wasted more money. If you spend more money, you're smarter. No? Oh. Huh. 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 Huh? Oh. 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 No. Huh? Oh. No. What a dick. What a shitbag I am. Thank you, Chris Rosser. Thank you for saying those things. Thank you for using data to back up what I noticed literally years ago. So that People can shut the fuck up with their bullshit ass info on Facebook groups. Clone prop popper. Look at this thing. It's got a spring on it. Look at this big thing. Man, look at that thin ass hooker. Hold on. Let's take a look. Look at that little tiny hooker. So, to me, the big difference between these two is the hooker. It's all about the hooker, my friends. This hooker on the left here is going to be a lot easier to jam in there between your shaft and your plop. So I'm really excited to use this guy. Well, am I doing any prop changes tonight? Yes, I am doing a prop change tonight. So we will use this, and I'll change like 2 of the props with this, 2 of the props with this, and we'll see. There's nothing wrong with this. It's just that, and it's as skinny up here, which is fine. And then, you know, it increasing in thickness, it actually like works nicely as a little wedge. But what I find is that when I'm using it to wedge in there, I tend to rock it back and forth. And this little guy will actually do a better job because of its skinnier hooker when I'm wedging it back and forth. The one thing I have heard, though, negative about the clone propper is that this really thin Lady of the Night will very easily accidentally push the C-clip here. Come on, you rat bastard. Come on. There's nothing but contrast for you to lock onto, you jerk. There we go. There it is. It's easier to push that little C-clip there off, and then the motor shaft and bell part ways. So you got to be careful with that. You got to be careful with that with both of these, though. They both have the potential to cause that issue. A couple of extra springs, which is pretty slick, and then they give you this to make sure that you don't push your propeller down too far. So you use this guy as a little shim. You put it on there. They give you 2. You put it on there before you push your propeller down. Come on, you rat bastard. There it is. You put it on there, and then you push your propeller down. They give you 2 of them. They're zip tied together. I will unzip tie them in a minute. But yeah, and then that is the same thickness as that. So that when you go to put this on there to get the propeller off, you got that nice little gap. I ain't going to use this thing. I'm going to push the propeller all the way down to the motor shaft because I would rather have the propeller farther down, and because the farther down the propeller is, the less leverage on the motor shaft, and I like not a lot of leverage on my shaft. I like it to just stay straight and not get bent. We got to start saying I want to start saying get bent to people more. Who's with me? Who's with me to bring back get bent? What are the origins of get bent? What do you guys think? Is it a dick joke? Is it a dick reference? It's not really a joke. Maybe it is. Why question anything? Just type it into Google. Sailing terminology. There we go. Sails can get bent. All right. That's just one theory, though. Well, I don't like this one. This is not good. We're going to go with the sailing one. We're going to go with the sailing thing. Clone prop popper. Man, it looks nice. Nicely printed. The spring is admittedly unnecessary, but kind of cool. Nothing wrong with it. Doesn't hurt anything. And, yeah. A skinny hooker. I gotta be careful. I'll leave it right there before I say something that'll get me in trouble. Too late. Ramadas says, which mail/mailbags? Like pistachio, lol, fun. But Erickson says, Ant BVTHC, my money is on a blown voltage regulator on the flight controller, probably not fixable unless CiottiFPV thinks otherwise. Metal Dirt Skin is right on the money. Adam Weston says, one option is... I knew you guys were going to do this. I knew you guys have been paying attention, and we're going to suggest all the same things. 5-volt rail, go around the bad regulator if that's the issue. Yeah, external 5-volt reg, we talked about that. CMYK says, I run the stock whip on my 65mm Ultimate Freestyle Tiny Whip, and it's been fantastic for where I've been flying, even in the warehouse. Yeah, I'm blown away at how good these disgusting little whip antennas are. Yeah. Very impressive. CMYK with the CiottiFPV.com link. Thank you, dude. Demo FPV says, what's up, gangly gang? Ramadas says, Nelly the elephant packed her trunk and said goodbye to the circus. GL. Curtis Hayes says, sent you an email to the email on your website about getting some screws, maybe spam folder. No, I'm just, at any given point, I'm between 2 to 5 days behind on my emails. I just get absolutely hammered. So yeah, I'm sure it's in there. If you haven't heard back from me for another few days, bug me or just send me the same message on like Discord or Instagram or something like that. But I'm sure it's in there. I just so here I am behind all the way back to March 3rd. That can't be right. March 5th. Wow. Yeah, my email's a war zone. Sorry, brother. I'm sure it's in. Well, let me look at junk just to make sure it's not in there. Nah, you're not in junk. So you're in there. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Where am I at here? Matt Norton says, I can't seem to get my my prop popper under my prop straight to pop it off. Is prop too far down or is it too tight? It's stock props, by the way. Yeah, sometimes it can be a little bit hard. So you want to try to, like, if this is the hub of the propeller, you want to get the little fetuses of the prop popper just to kind of grab the edge, and then you can give it just like an initial little rock back and forth, and it'll just kind of kick the propeller up a little bit, and then that'll really give you enough to kind of get it under there. Just be gentle, like kind of get in there. Like if the thing is like this, you're going to kind of bring it in at like a 45-degree angle. So you're going to hold the prop popper up like this, and then the little legs are going to be here. And yeah, just try to get it to just barely hook on the hub, and then just give it a little angle, and it'll slip off and leave little scrapes in the hub, which is fine. Just try again, and yeah, just push this way on it, and then rock it, and you just want to get the prop to just pop up a little bit, and then you'll have enough to really get it down and in there. Hard to explain, but now that I've said that, I bet you'll be like, oh, okay, and you just sort of. Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes it's definitely difficult. 0.99 millimeter drill bits make your life so much easier. They will be for sale soon. Butteritzson says, one of those Nano 3s was the one that lived in my 65mm toothpick forever. It had a good life. I remember that. Yeah. Yeah, I was very sad when both of them died, because they're just gone forever, which is a shame. But again, the current version of the Runcam Nano 3 looks great. The old version of the camera with that better lens, it was almost like oversaturated. I'm sure that old lens was better, but the camera settings I don't think were as good as the current one. Denzo the Terrible says, corn on the cob LED. YouTube's about to do the thing. There it is. Thanks, YouTube. Go to hell. Wow, I'm way behind. All right. Here we go. Sam Williams says, hey, I feel like a dunce received a code, and where do I use it? Newbie Drone's website and you're going to add the Cockroach V3 in whichever color, whichever material that you want to your cart, and then the coupon code will subtract the $4.99 that frame would normally cost you. You can add a bunch of other stuff to your cart, and if you add enough stuff, you'll get free shipping. So you can get a completely free frame, or if you can't get to the free shipping mark, you're going to get a frame for the cost of shipping. Newbie Drone's website has tons of really cool stuff. They have a whole bunch of Axis motors that no other websites have, so definitely surf around their website. You can almost certainly find a couple of things to throw into that cart, and then it'll be as if you're getting free shipping, even if you do have to pay for shipping. Morton Upshot says, time check this and state the date, March 18th. JMPFPV says, food, water, and love. Indeed. Some guy FPV says, I have a WeBleed 0702 motor and the shaft is spinning separately from the bell. Can I fix it or buy new ones? Personally, buy new ones. They're not that expensive. And yeah, I have used this once on a motor that is out of stock, basically. It seems to work brilliantly. Many people have used this, and it has worked really, really, really well. Loctite 638 retaining compound. This is what you want. This bottle will last till the end of time. You need to be really, really, really careful with this stuff. You're going to take the motor shaft and the bell out. You're going to just put the tiniest little bit of this on, like, use a pin. Take this and make like a little dot of it on like a piece of plastic or something, and then take the head of a pin and pick up a non-existent amount of it and rub it around the inside of the hole in the bell, and then maybe put a little bit of it on just the part of the motor shaft that's going to meet up with the bell, and then super carefully mate those two guys together and let it sit for 24 hours, let's say. I don't know what the actual cure time is, but you cannot get that stuff anywhere else. It will wreck the motor. The motor shaft up above the bell is touching the plastic propeller, and Loctite eats plastic, so you can't get it up there. And then down below the bell, that part of the motor shaft interacts with the metal bushings, and it needs to spin really freely in there, so you can't get it in there either. So you got to really be careful and just exactly get it at the point where the motor shaft goes in through the bell. Totally doable if you're careful, but buying an extra set of 4 motors, now you've got 3 extras. You supported a tiny whoop company, and it's nice to have extra motors. You're gonna start bending motor shafts anyway. Maybe that motor shaft is already bent, and you should have retired that motor regardless. I don't know how often you've crashed, how hard you crashed, but yeah, there you go. Kilo Zebra says, some guy FPV suggest. There we go. Rabid Rabbit says, best 802 motor KV for a 75mm build for freestyle. That's a fairly I'm going to assume a couple things. I'm going to assume that you're going to crash it really hard. I'm going to assume that you're going to crash it into hard objects, and that's going to lead me down the path of 2 802 motors that exist that have 1.5mm motor shafts, and unfortunately they're both out of stock. The tinywhoop.com 802 25,000 kV snowblower, and the tinywhoop.com 802 27,000 kV iGow special edition motor. 75mm builds are heavy enough that with a good hard crash, they will bend the shit out of a 1mm motor shaft. So these 2 specific motors with 1.5mm shafts fix that problem, and they're super durable, and they're just awesome. I would definitely go for the 27,000 kV. There's really no reason to go for 25,000 kV. If you get the 27s and it's too much power for you, you go into the PID tab and you limit it to 90% or 85%. And you've got a 25,000 kV motor. If down the road it's not enough power for you, you can turn it up. With the 25,000, you can't. So yeah, 802 iGow 27,000 kV motor for the win. If you are building a heavier rig or a walk snail 75mm build, you're probably going to want more kV than that. I have a couple of streams from last week or the week before where I took those iGal motors, I took the bells off, which is where the stronger motor shaft is, and I mated it up to an 802 30,000 kV stator and an 802 33,000 kV stator. That gets a little expensive because you're taking two sets of $40 motors and combining the best parts. So you end up with one really good set of motors and then one kind of shitty set of motors. Not really shitty, but less good. And yeah, away you go. So, Mac FPV says, making a mental note not to leave my voltmeter when I travel to Mexico. Nah, man, fuck the what's it called? Multimeter. Screw the multimeter. Now you know how to troubleshoot without it. There's all kinds of ways you can troubleshoot without a multimeter. Walter says, I just put 10.10 Edge TX on PC. I wanted to put on my Emax Tiny Whoop Freestyle. Lights go on but no connections. Should I change back to the old version? How are you putting Edge TX on a Tiny Whoop? Are you talking about, did you buy a Tiny Whoop kit that comes with a transmitter, I'm guessing? Edge TX is transmitter firmware. So if you were trying to put Edge TX on a quad, that's the problem. Edge TX has nothing to do with quads. It's for transmitter only. If I'm correct and that Tiny Whoop came with a transmitter that you tried to put it on, I'll put it this way. This is on OpenTX. This is the radio that I use for everything and that I've used for every single gig that I've done, regardless of how big of a hip-hop star or what country I was in. And this is on OpenTX, like, I don't know, 1.0 from like 5 years ago. And it's completely fine. The newer versions of OpenTX and EdgeTX, they don't really do anything magical. So yeah, I would say go back to whatever was working and away you go. But yeah, if you were trying to put EdgeTX on a quad, that's definitely the problem. It's transmitter firmware. Morton Upshot says, I'm assuming there is a wire harness between his ESC and flight controller. Examined the plug headers also. Yep. When I was talking about like maybe there's a bent pin, that's inside of the plug header. So yeah, check all that stuff. Just Mo says, just got Mobile 7 V3 frame and the Meteor 75 frame. Which one should I build on and which one should I keep as a spare? That's easy. The Mobile 7 V3 frame battery bay is set up for a 2S battery. The Meteor 75 frame is set up for a 1S battery. So there you go. If it's a 1S build, Meteor 75. If it's a 2S build, Mobile 7 V3. Ryan Blaze says, what's up? Finally catching on to your live stream schedule. Stoked to be here. I was flying whoops while listening, watching your stream. Very cool, dude. Glad to have you. Stay a while and listen. What game's that from, you sons of bitches? If you've already guessed the answer to that, because I use it like once a month. Just let somebody else guess. Ebod says, can I show you a picture on Discord of my clone prop popper? You can. You're going to have to post it in Livestream Live. Well, if you're a patron, you can post it in Livestream Live. If you're not a patron, I guess you can post it in... If you're not a patron, become a patron. Please, I need you. I need help. If you don't have the $3 a month, it's all good. You can post it in general nonsense. It's all good. Riot9 is trying to move the slider on his tracking info. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. CMYK says you got to spend more time in the sim. 11:03 p.m. What were we talking about 20 minutes ago? I don't remember what we were talking about. Ebot again saying, can I show you a picture of my clone prop popper? Jackalope says, I wish I could pay to have that goat scream every time I send it $5. That would be fun. This is the goat scream. Oh, his little battery has recharged. He is Strong like bull goat again. Yeah. Could you guys not hear what Rosser was? Oh. Yeah, it's a it is now a directional microphone and the speaker is behind it. Chris Rosser is go to my Instagram here. Here's a link to my Instagram. Go to my Instagram and check my stories. You'll see it. I'll give you a link, you lazy bastards. There you go. You got to skip the first one. The first one is me having a really rough mental health series of days here. There you go. There's the link. Everybody says most of it was inaudible over finger guns. BeepTube says, I got a prop popper as a prize at the Tiny Whoop race in Knoxville last month. Neat tool. That's like the best prize ever. I was really tempted to buy a bunch of prop poppers last time they came in stock and put them into my giveaways because, man, there is no better giveaway item than that. But I wanted other people to be able to get them too. Ebod says, I broke one of the arms of my clone prop popper already. It was on the third prop. Jesus. 0.99 millimeter drill bits available soon. That'll fix the issue. Ramadas says that's not rad at 11:09. I don't remember what we were talking about. Oh, yeah. We were talking about bent shafts. Kevin Sumner says, after bending a bunch of E-clips with the proppers, I'm going to just take mine off fresh motors properly and keep them in a bag. Less frustrating in the field too. Wait, bending a bunch of E-clips with the poppers, I'm going to just take mine off fresh motors properly and take the E-clips? But then the shafts are going to... are you able to do that now with the motors that have the knurled motor shafts? I never thought about that. I don't even know if that's what you're saying. Is that what you're saying, Kevin? You're going to start taking the C-clips or E-clips off the top of the motors? I never thought to do that. I would be scared to do that. I have a feeling maybe that's not what you're looking for. Danzel the Turbo says, now Google prolapse. Trust me. Hell no. I don't Google things that other people tell me to Google live on stream. That's a terrible idea. Kevin Sumner says, sometimes it can be a little bit hard talking about getting off his shaft. Indeed. Curtis Hayes says, don't forget to do the frame giveaway tonight. Yeah, we can do that. I wait for you guys to ask for it, basically. Let's do it now. Screw it. Because otherwise I won't remember. Oh, no. Where's that window? Where did it go? Hey, there it is. All right. Wait, no. Let me get caught up on chat first, because the chat's going to fill up with periods. That's what she said. Is it? Delta Foxtrot 6949 says, where can I purchase one of those prop poppers? I don't know if they're in stock anymore, but they are on tinywhoop.com. Northern Tier says, what is the possibility of getting a parts list for the Gangly fan since there are no more in existence to be had? There certainly are. Every single first Monday of the month giveaway, there will be a Gangly fan, thanks to Douglas Otwell. Douglas Otwell is the creator of it. So yeah, he would be who you would want to talk to. He hangs out in the chat all the time. He's also over on the Discord, so you can message him. Pretty straightforward build. There's not a lot that goes into it. It's computer fan with a couple of cables. He just does a great job with laser engraving and the covers, and yeah, just super awesome. So yeah, that is who you would want to message. I'm sure he'd be more than willing to share it. But yeah, half the fun of the Gangly fan is that it's limited quantities, and we do it every first Monday of the month. So 2 Mondays from now, you'll have a chance to order another one. Enter into a giveaway to win another one. AJ Farah says, how long did it take to get your prop popper clone? Just ordered one. Almost a month, but that's USPS's fault. Tiny Whoop usually ships quick, and it usually arrives in a couple of days. But yeah, something weird happened with my package, and it bounced around USPS for almost an entire month. Wisemac says, can you recommend a lighter replacement frame for Firefly 1S Nano Baby V2? Probably not. I'm not... I burned myself out on toothpick rigs 5 or 6 years ago, and every time I go back to them, I just don't like the way they fly. They're too light. They don't have enough mass to get like a good throw, off throttle throw, and I love that flight characteristic. So yeah, I've always thought that frame on there was kind of nice. It always sort of looked nice. It's got nice sort of double bracing. Here was a bottom view. Yeah. You know, it's double braced really nicely. It looks like the carbon fiber weave is going in the wrong direction. That makes me want to vomit. So that's a shame. What the fuck are you doing that for, Firefly? Come on now. Or Flywheel, rather. Yeah, now I don't like this frame anymore. What the hell? Maybe this does kind of look like a 3D CAD drawing. So hopefully in real life, the carbon fiber weave is going the correct direction. This is basically 45 degrees incorrect. So this is the weave here. And so you want these carbon fiber strands to run as long as possible before being interrupted. So when you've got, and the most important area for the carbon fiber is the arms. So the way that this CAD drawing is set up, these little fibers only go this tiny short little distance, and that's bad. They hopefully in the production version, they have rotated this carbon fiber 45 degrees, and what that would do is make these carbon fiber strands run the length of the arm, and they are they're way stronger when you do it that way. So yeah, hopefully this is just a mistake in the CAD, because this is obviously a CAD drawing, right? Like this is not what a flight controller really looks like. Yeah, sorry, brother. I'm not. I don't like the way toothpicks fly. I especially don't like the way that these tiny little toothpicks fly. That they don't have the power, and they don't have like the accuracy. They don't have the power of a 2.5 or a 3-inch toothpick, and they're not like enough smaller where like if you were gonna shoot a gap, it's like, oh, if you were flying a 3-inch toothpick and you go to shoot a gap and you miss the gap, it's not like, oh, if I was flying a 2-inch toothpick, I would have made it through there. Like, no, the difference is like this much. It's so small of a difference in size that it really doesn't matter. And then with the smaller propellers, you really sacrifice thrust and a lot of efficiency. So yeah, it's just sort of not my thing. I would, if I were you, I would move that electronics package into a bigger frame. Look for a 2.5-inch or a 3-inch toothpick frame. You're going to get a mega increase in power and efficiency. And yeah, it's not going to get much bigger. So that would be my recommendation. I also really don't know many good 3-inch or 2.5-inch toothpick frames. The 1 or 2 good 3-inch toothpick frames that I know of are the FPV Cycle. I don't even remember what it's called, but FPV Cycle makes a 3-inch toothpick frame that's like the gold standard that, you know, started this whole toothpick craze, and it's still an awesome frame. So yeah, I do have a Discord text channel called Toothpick and Whoop. And there are lots and lots and lots of people who love toothpicks and whoops in there, so you could probably get some ideas over there, or just ask in there, and some people that are more in touch with the toothpick world can help you out with that. Morton Upshot says, is it possible the Edge TX on a quad? He may have meant ELRS. Oh, okay. Yeah. If you meant ELRS, the version of ELRS that you put on the receiver needs to match with the version of ELRS on your module. So if you go to like ELRS, if you were on ELRS 2.5 and you go to 3.0, you have to go on the receiver and on your module. Can't have a mismatch there. It's one of the infuriating things about ELRS. Walter says, thanks, I'll try tomorrow again. I forget what we were talking about. CMYK says, you was shit talking. Happens a lot. Metal Diskin says, I said if anyone gave me a prop popper, I would hit it with a hammer, but someone did give me one, and now I feel like a jerk. Let me go back up. Hold on. CMYK was saying... Come on. Where is it? Shit talking guys. Got it. Where was I? Oh, God, YouTube, you just did the thing, you bastard. Here we go. Kevin Summer says, I've definitely had motors that the top E-clips were spares / not functional. Interesting. I just never thought about it. I always just saw it there. I was like, awesome. That'll keep the shaft from sliding down through the bell. I never even remotely thought to remove it. That clip on the top there doesn't do a whole hell of a lot. Other than when you're trying to mash a propeller on there that you haven't drilled out with your 0.99 millimeter drill bit. So yeah, David 4F says, what's your go-to goggle battery setup? Looking for something that will last longer on my Fat Sharks. I've tried all the different setups, pocket, rear, and I always just come back to battery on the side. It's just, it folds up really nicely and fits in my bag perfect. And I'm just used to it. I'm just, yeah. I would rather have like 3 of these than have one giant battery in my pocket or weirdly in the back, like weighing down the back of the strap. I don't know. Everybody's different though. I know a lot of people are horrified by this setup, but for me, it totally works. It is annoying. The batteries don't last super long, but they're easy to just swap in, swap out. I also like having I like having 3 and 4 of the same battery. Just for like that extra redundancy, having like one gigantic battery that powers my goggles. It's like, that's, God forbid I forget to charge it, or I assume that it's charged, and it runs out. It's just like, oh, well, now I'm screwed. So yeah, I love the idea of having 3, 4 of the same thing so that if one of them lets go, or if I forget one, or, I can have all the extras like in my bag at any given time. Skeseks? Skesseks says, Mobula 6 with a Hamo Crazy B 4SX 1280F flight controller, Avatar HD 1S light kit 0802 27,000 kV motors on a fresh battery. OSD says 4.25. Yep. Here we go. Upon takeoff, sags to 3.6 and falls rapidly. All up is 44 grams. Any ideas help? 44 grams. Is that extra heavy? I mean, it still shouldn't sag that much, but just out of curiosity. That's about right. This is on the Meteor 75 Pro frame. This one's at 47 grams, but yeah, it's the bigger frame with the bigger motors. Your all up weight's about right. As always, my first question is like, when did this start? Like, has it ever worked? If it was working fine and you plowed it into the side of a building at full steam and now it's doing this, there's your problem. You bent a propeller or a motor shaft, and when you arm it, all those vibrations are getting into the PID loop, and the PID loop is kind of freaking out, and it's trying to speed up and slow down the motors. If it's a fresh build and that's happening, that is way more difficult to troubleshoot. So you're going to need to rely on like... Hold on, let me just think about like... Trying to think of most common to least common. Like I want you to check the things that are going to be the most common problems first, rather than going on this wild goose chase that you'll go on if you ask a question like this on any Facebook group. Because every idiot will just say, oh, it's got to be your 5-volt regulator. Oh, it's got to be your capacitor. It's a tiny whoop asshole. There's no capacitor. Oh, it's got to be your GPS module. I hope Facebook burns in a fire. Wait a second. What AIO is that? Is that an AIO with a VTX on it? If so, that's a part of the problem. You need an AIO without a VTX on it. Because you've got the walk snail VTX. Hold on. I'm looking at... seeing if I can find that. Yeah, that's not the... Which AIO is that? I hold on. Let's take all this shit out. Take this Hamo nonsense out. Crazy BF4. Crazy BF4 AIO. Which one's that? So, if this is the AIO that you've got, if this is the AIO that you have, this is an AIO that has a VTX inside of it. And so the VTX is in here, the analog VTX is in here banging away. I mean, it should actually be fine. Well, what could be happening is the VTX is banging away and it's getting really hot, and it's also got the walk snail VTX right up against it, which is getting really hot, and this AIO could just be overheating like a son of a bitch. And when these things overheat, they do all kinds of weird stuff. So if this is the AIO that you have, you need to figure out how to turn the VTX off. And I believe that there's a way to do it. I believe there's like a set of jumpers. I think there's a set of pads somewhere on here that have a blob of solder jumping those pads, and I think that's what runs the VTX. So you can break that solder bridge, and that'll turn off the VTX. Basically, I hope that this is the AIO that you have, because if it's not, this is a huge waste of time. But I'm going to assume that this is the one, because this is pretty close to that string of text that you put up there. Happymodel, come on. Where's your link to the info page about this? God damn it, Happymodel, your website is so awful. All right, so if you go into support, and then there used to be a search field in here. Hold on. If you use their generic search field in the top right corner. Oh my God, why? Oh boy. It's on their website, I think. It might be the X12. One of these AIOs is on their website in the support section, and they tell you how to turn the VTX off. Now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure it's actually the X12. But they might also have it. Here we go. Is this? No, this is CLI dumps. Damn it. Dump file, Crux, related posts, upgraded flight controller. No. I'm not going to be able to find it on the live stream. Head over to my Discord. There's a link on CiottiFPV.com. Go into the Toothpick and Whoop text channel or General Nonsense and post that question. Somebody knows exactly where it is on Happymodel's website, or I might remember where it is, and I'll go and I'll help you out. But yeah, that could be, that might actually not be the problem. So but you need to do that anyway. You can't have that VTX just blasting away. That's not good. So you need to do that anyway. But when it takes off, is it like oscillating? Is it trilling? Is it or is it acting totally normal? Obviously, it's not acting totally normal, because you say the voltage dumps down. Do this. Go into Betaflight. Take your master multiplier slider. It's probably going to be at 1.0. Bring it all the way down to 0.5, and then see if that helps. It's gonna fly like ass. But what we're trying to isolate is it a vibration problem? If it's getting too many vibrations, or too much electrical noise, that's going to help the situation. That needs to be the first troubleshooting step. Hopefully you banged it into something really hard, and that's when the problem started, because that's an easy troubleshoot. If it's a fresh build, it's a much harder troubleshoot. So yeah, do a couple of those things first, and then we can take it from there. Hold on, YouTube did the thing. Scrolling back up. Kevin Sumner says, Kilo Zebra, now I feel like I'm going crazy and want to go check motors. I think you guys are maybe still talking about the C-clip. Jake FPV says, if you were to shift the carbon 45 degrees, then wouldn't the other two arms have the shitty weave, though? Never thought about the way that the way carbon should be laid out. Smart, I'll make sure next cuts I do. If on the Dead Cat, maybe. On the True X version, no. Because right now, you've got the True X like this, right? And the carbon fiber is going like that, right? The carbon fiber weave is always at a 90 degree. So on a True X build, you always want the carbon fiber weave to be like this, because that's how the arms are oriented, right? So then the carbon fiber strands run as long as possible along the arms. This is one of the problems with Dead Cats, actually. A Dead Cat setup, the rear arms are at a 45 degree, but then the front arms come down. They're not always totally like this. A lot of times they're like that. And so you really can't do anything about that. Luckily, the Dead Cat arms are usually a little bit shorter, which makes them stronger. But this is one of the reasons why Dead Cat frames never quite fly as well as their True X counterparts. This is also why removable arms are amazing, because when you have a removable arm, you run the carbon down the length of it because it's getting cut on a separate sheet. So yeah, frames that don't have removable arms in 2024 can suck my fat ass. It's just like, come on, stop making solid base plate frames. It's insane. Believe it or not, it's lighter weight to make a removable arm frame, because you do not, if you're going to make a frame that's actually strong, if you're going to make a garbage frame that's weak, then you can build a unibody that's actually lighter. But if you're going to make a frame worth the shit that's actually strong, by having removable arms, even though you have to add metal hardware to secure those removable arms, you can actually remove so much carbon fiber because you're able to run the carbon fiber in the correct direction on the arms, and then you can run it in the correct direction on the base plate. You can remove so much carbon that it offsets the weight of the metal hardware and the press nuts, and you end up with a frame that's stronger and lighter and more like serviceable because the arms are removable. Unibody frames should have stopped. They should have died many years ago. And it's just laziness that these manufacturers, that have the manpower, right? Like if one of us is just designing a frame, it's a whole different story because it's a bitch to design. It's way more difficult to design a removable arm frame. But these companies whose jobs are to design frames that have designed 50 frames over the last bunch of years, there's no excuse, none whatsoever, for them to be designing solid unibody frames. It's just maddening that it's still happening. But, you know, whatever. AJ Farris says, where's Mr. Spaghetti? He's in bed with Azalea. Ramadas says, notice a VTX with ELRS recently. Are you saying that there is a VTX out there that also has ELRS built in? That's pretty cool. TBS did that with the 69, I think they called it. And I heard a bunch of people complaining about it. Like the receiver died and then they had to throw the whole thing away because it had the VTX. VTX died, they had to throw the whole thing away. Receiver died and it took the VTX with it. VTX died, took the receiver with it. Yeah, I don't know. On a really tiny, really tight build, I get it. Combining stuff like that. But the a separate VTX and a separate receiver are awful small. And like, yeah, it's a little bit more soldering, but like you do it once and you're good to go. I don't know. Morton Upshot says, embrace the bind phrase with an up arrow. I started using binding phrases forever ago. Where's the up arrow? It's the major version that needs to be in sync. No one should be on 2x anymore, except people with tiny whoops that are on older firmware. Then there's no newer version of the firmware, which is myself and many others with Mobula 6s. Go to 4.3 beta flight if you're using SPI 3.0. Yeah, I mean, that's... Yeah, some AIOs you can do that with, some you can't. Some of us just have a shitload of different rigs, and to update all of them every single time a new beta flight comes out is just a disaster. So yeah, there's reasons to not update. I'm gonna call you SK from now on. SK says, killed a brand new battery first use. New motors, flight controller is newish. So then, okay, so they're new motors. So then it sounds like it didn't do this on the old motors. So then the new motors are the problem. Easiest thing to do is put the old motors back onto it and make sure that the behavior goes away. Then now you've totally isolated. It's the new motors. Like, we know this because you put those on and the problem started. But just to be totally sure, put the old motors back on. And then if you want, what I think I would do is then you take the new motors and you put them on one at a time. Put one new motor on, see if the problem pops back up. Put another one on, see if the problem pops up. Hopefully, at some point, you put one of those new motors on and then the problem is there. Take that motor back off and take the other new motor and put it on. And then hopefully the problem's not there. And then you've isolated, hey, you've got a bad motor. That's got like, or your motor screws are too long. If it's a different brand of motor, the windings might be farther down on the stator and the motor screws that you're using might be driving themselves up into the windings on the stator, and that will absolutely cause the problem that you're describing. I bet you that's the issue. I bet you that's what's going on with it. Check your motor screws. Make sure they're not driving up into the windings. I bet you that's it. I bet you that took me a minute to get there, but yeah, your new motor's flight controller is newish is what really tipped me off. Yeah, I bet you that's it. That would perfectly describe the behavior that you've got going on, and it would totally explain why you put on new motors and this just started. If it's the same exact motor, if you went from like a Happymodel 802 25,000 to a Happymodel 802 27,000, that won't be the problem. But I bet you that's not it. I bet you went from one brand of motor to another brand of motor, and the new motors have less clearance on the bottom of the stator between the mounting point and the windings. Kevin Sumner says, Kilo Zebra, I have not, I just tested the top E-clip removal on a spare WeBleed 702 bell. It's not spare, and I'm going to tell me, I've just never had one with the clip removed, separate the bell from shaft. Lucky. Okay. All right. So yeah, we should not be removing those top C-clips. SK says X12 Lite V1. I think we figured it out though. Metal Dirtskin says, when I had my whoops on GNB 27 and the connectors were making very poor contact, it would sag way down on takeoff just like that. Hence my guess. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Check the motors first, because it sounds like you put new motors on and this problem started. But there's another thing to check if the motors aren't the issue. YouTube just did the thing again. Morton Upshot says, were you looking in support or products? I looked in both, and I wasn't quite able to find it. Denzel the Terrible says, the top surface of carbon fiber isn't always indicative of the actual layup pattern. Very, very true, but 99% of the time it is. And the fact that the companies that are laying the carbon fiber up don't do that 100% of the time, they should be beaten with a fucking hammer, because other than breaking the carbon fiber, there is no way to tell otherwise. So, and as far as I'm concerned, a company making carbon fiber that is not put, so the top and bottom layer of carbon fiber, it's just a veneer. It's actually not where any of the strength comes from. But a company that is so dumb that they don't line up the weave on those top and bottom layers with the actual layup of the strands, they're not going to be making good carbon fiber either. Like, they're idiots, and that carbon fiber is going to suck. You can totally argue that, like, even sucky carbon fiber is only a little bit less strong than, like, the top quality T300, T500 shit, and you'd be right. But still, like, a company that's not matching those two things up, that's just, yeah, they can go straight to hell. Kevin Summer says, but luckily most of them do. I've only run into it one time in 8 years in this hobby where that was not the deal. It was actually with 533. It was with their original Tiny Trainer. And I explained all of this, and then they went back to their whoever cut it for them, and they were like, "What the fuck?" And they fixed it for the next run. So, Kevin Sumner says, "See Metal Dirtskin's message above for ELRS and VTX board." Metal Dirtskin says, "There is one. It's the Happymodel Fyujon. I got those in my race quads. I didn't realize that. That's been out for a while. How did I not realize? Maybe just because it's got such a silly name." Oh, yeah, there it is. No. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, very cool. I totally missed that. Interesting. Is that 20 by 20? Yeah, it is. And then it's got holes for 25 by 25. And then even 30 by 30. Look at that. And they're breakouts, so you can just break them off. Huh. Very cool. Wow, $27. Jeez. That is really cheap. I'll be damned. Very cool stuff. I still don't like it. I hate having two things. Especially like VTXs love to die. So like a VTX on a same board as a receiver, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be throwing away a bunch of perfectly good receivers. But on a really, really compact build, yeah, you can't argue with it. Kevin Sumner said, no, we got that. 1B674H says, have you seen Quad 6.6's whoop tuning guide? Thoughts? I have. Very similar to what I talk about all the time. Super funny thing is that his ratio, his P to D ratio is exactly the same as what I landed on, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. So yeah, when I was watching it, I was like, yes! It was just this, like, you know, great minds kind of think alike deal. He adds a little bit more pitch, PIND gain. I go up to 1.1 on tiny whoops, and then I go up to 1.2 on rigs that have big ass heavy GoPros up front. On Tiny Whoops, he's actually going up to 1.2. I think I'm going to start going up to 1.2 on those pitch sliders because he uses black box. I just use like flight feel, which is not nearly as accurate as actual data. So yeah, I might start going up to 1.2. That's one thing that I learned from his video. Other than that, yeah, I mean, his and my tuning methods are damn near identical, of just giving a little bit more of a D to P ratio, basically, and then moving the sliders up. I think maybe he talks about using the master multiplier, which I personally don't like because the master multiplier is also going to increase and decrease the feed forward. And I like to separate the feed forward out and just have that a static number. His method is a little bit easier because the master multiplier is just one slider, whereas my method uses the top two sliders and moves them like this. You guys are pretty smart. You can handle taking the top slider and going to 1.2 and then taking those top two sliders and moving them up and down in that same ratio. That's pretty easy to do. But if you can't handle the two slider thing, the master multiplier slider is great. It'll work totally fine. Just understand that your feed forward is going to move up and down as well as that master multiplier. So you're not only going to change the tune, but you're going to change the flight feel. Changing the tune does change the flight feel. Upping the P gains gives you a very similar experience as upping the feed forward. So there's some bleed over there. We're really splitting hairs at that point. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I do a little bit of a more sort of customized thing, but 99% of people will not be able to tell the difference between his method and my method. I don't even know if I would be able to tell the difference between his method and my method. I'm sort of old school, like back before sliders, where I would dial the individual numbers in. So when the sliders came out, I actually didn't use them for a while because they took away some of the freedom that I had dialing in specific numbers. And then eventually I just said to hell with it and started using the sliders. And like the difference was so small that it's just a lot easier than trying to remember the specific numbers and like think about the ratios in my head and do maths and shit like that. So yeah, the sliders are great. But yeah, his method is amazing. It's almost identical to mine. YouTube just did the thing again. Jesus Christ. Nemesis FPV says, not sure I agree with the multi-arm thing. I've flown the same 215 unibody for ages. Maybe I could have been harder on it. Maybe I've also only broken an arm and many times ESCs broke. So yeah, I mean, obviously everybody is entitled to their opinion. But you know, I'm going to, this is not me saying, I don't want to say that you're wrong, Nemesis, but like, you've got a sample size of, it sounds like, okay, so your sample size is 1. You've broken 1 arm. And unfortunately that's just not a big enough sample size. I have flown and broken many unibodies and removable arm frames, and yeah, there's just it's just physics. Like the directionality of carbon fiber is very important. And with a unibody, you have to pick. You either get the directionality correct on the arms or on the main body. There's just no way around that. You can't like curve the carbon fibers. They don't do that. Well, they could do that, but then you'd have to do like vacuum layup and the price would go bananas. But yeah, it's just the way that it sort of works. A unibody frame, you can make a unibody base plate that is extremely thick and it doesn't have a lot of cutouts, and it will be strong, but it'll also be very heavy. And for the amount of weight that it is, it won't be as strong as it should or could be. A removable arm frame, and like any frame manufacturer, any OG frame manufacturer that at some point took an existing frame and that was unibody and turned it into a removable arm frame, any one of those frame manufacturers will tell you that they were able to make the frame lighter and stronger. It's sort of just yeah, there's no getting around it. There's not like a magical frame that all of a sudden the carbon fibers properties change. You know what I'm saying? Like it's great that you've got a frame that has been strong, but if somebody took your exact frame that's been strong for you and turned it into a removable arm frame, they could build it lighter and it would be stronger. And that's, you know, when we're going with these custom builds and with just technology as it gets better and better and better, and we learn more and more and more on the engineering side of FPV, those are the small gains that we're looking for. You know, we find all these little small gains, and like, you know, the extra 5 grams that you save from going from unibody to removable arm, it doesn't seem like much, but when you combine that 5 grams with another 5 grams with another 5 grams with the fact that you can remove the arms and just replace the arm without having to tear the entire rig apart, right? That's the worst part about unibodies, is that when they break, it's hours of work versus removable arm frames, it's minutes of work. That's really the biggest thing. But then also with a removable arm frame, it can be a lot lighter and you get more runtime, better power to weight ratio, all kinds of other benefits. You can do things like adding more carbon fiber to the ends of the arms to protect your motors more, right? Because you've made the frame lighter, so you can take that weight that you've saved and you can put it into other places where it actually like can help other parts of the build. This is one of the great things about the glide frame, is that they have really, really big devil horns, is what I call them, on the ends of the arms. And that protects the motor. So you'll spend a lot less money on replacement motors because of that. And, you know, some of that weight they saved from it not being a unibody. I forgot to change that light. So, yeah. But, you know, it's awesome that you found a unibody frame that doesn't break. But yeah, if they made a removable arm version of that frame, it would be lighter and perform better. Nemesis also says frame way more durable. Just saying, rather buy a new frame for $15 than new arms, same price. What frame are you getting? It's $15. Holy hell. And I've never seen arms that are $15. Arms are usually like $4 or $5. And then yeah, you could not pay me to fly a unibody frame with how much work it is when I break it. Also, with a unibody frame, the vibration characteristics are worse. Again, because you have to pick either the arms are strong or the main body is strong, you're not going to be able to get your filters as low or your PID tune as aggressive. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons why removable. Like, look, if nothing else, if you look at like any of like the really nice frames that are made today, you're not going to find a single unibody. Like, every single frame manufacturer has realized that removable arm frames are the way. And like the only unibody frames that you're going to see are from like smaller companies or like a 2-inch rig where they're just not paying much attention. They're just like, you know, shit this frame out and let's just sell another new product this month. So yeah, it's pretty obvious. If you really want to dive into this, Chris Rosser has an amazing video on carbon fiber properties. I mean, there's loads of info on the internet and here on YouTube about the properties of carbon fiber, but specifically in FPV, Chris Rosser has some great info. Bob Ruge from FPV Cycle actually interviewed someone. This is going back years. Bob and I had talked about this way back when, and then he managed to do this like hour-long interview with somebody that worked at a carbon fiber factory or a frame. I don't know. It was a guy that knew a lot about carbon fiber back then, when we were all just sort of figuring this shit out. And it's a phenomenal interview. It's like an hour long and there's loads of good info. It's all of that info is now like, just like we all just know it, that have been in the game for a while. But at the time, it was like, holy shit, to hear this from a guy in that world was just incredible. And that really, yeah, it was like amazing back then. So 661 says, have you seen the new drone giraffe? Can we just talk shit about this for a minute? I believe what he's talking about is the 03 rig. What an ugly quad. I mean, like, look, I'm all about form over function. I'm sorry, I'm all about function over form. But you got to give me a little bit of you got to give me a little bit of form. Look, this is how you design the lightest possible O3 carrying, no props in view rig. It's not going to crash well. You're going to, look, if you're not going to, look, hey, just don't crash. Guys, look, just don't crash. That's the solution. Go on Facebook and go in any Facebook group and ask any question even remotely related to durability, and all of the obviously geniuses that hang out in Facebook groups, obviously they've been around FPV for years. There's not a chance that every single one of them has only flown one battery. Will tell you that the answer here is just don't crash. This is obviously the best quad that's ever been built. Because, what are you, an asshole? What are you, gonna crash? What are you, a shitty pilot? You must be a shitty pilot. You crash? Oh my god. What is wrong? You crash? What kind of what are you, a shitty pilot? I can't think of anything else to say. I'm out. Yeah. Just don't crash. Just don't even fly. Look, let's be honest, right? We're not buying these to fly them. We're buying them to put on the wall so that when the ladies come, they see our drones on the wall and they go, ah! And those panties just be melting. That's why we're in this. We're not in this to fly. Come on. You fly? What are you, an idiot? You fly and you crash? You're an idiot and you're a shitty pilot. Wow. You're a bad person. You're a bad person because of that. Yeah, this is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. But putting an O3 up in the air, like if you do like long range or like exploratory is what I've heard people calling it, right? This would be probably kind of cool. But for the love of God, don't crash this. Yeah, so, and I don't know. Look, you guys know I love Newbie Drone. They've been really good to me. If you're not going to crash this rig, you're not going to have props in view. It's going to be nice and lightweight. It's going to be cool. This is not for me. If Kelvin was like, yo, I want to send you this giraffe quad, I'd be like, Kelvin, I appreciate that, but I'm not your guy. Do not send that to me, because I will absolutely crash the shit out of it and demolish that camera and the way that it's mounted. And then I'll come on a live stream and be like, hey, this thing exploded on the first time I crashed. And that doesn't look good for that product. So, like, look, this is a product for the FPV enthusiast that hangs out in Facebook groups all the time and answers every single question with a wrong answer and also tells people to just not crash. That's who this quad is for. If that's you, stop it. Stop not crashing. Stop telling people to not crash. If I find you, I will fucking beat you. Stop it. It's none of you. I know it's none of you. Nobody, that person does not hang out here. That person does not. And if that person does hang out here, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, get out of here. Get out. We don't want your kind. Is that ranty enough for you? Ooh, God, people that say just don't crash on Facebook groups are a big part of the reason that I do not miss Facebook for even a second. So yeah, this is a very specific product for a very specific Facebook group enthusiast. And we are not that people. That is not us, my friends. That is not us. But I don't have a problem with a company making a product for a specific person. They're not calling that the Bando Basher, right? They're calling it the ultra. It has like ultralight in the name or something, I think, right? No, Savage B. Yeah. Look. They're even calling it like ultra lightweight. If something is called ultra lightweight and you crash it, it's on you. It's on you. They told you it was ultra lightweight, and if you had 2 brain cells to rub together, you would know that ultra lightweight means ultra fragile. And if you crash it, your fault. It's not Newbie Drone's fault. Don't you get upset at Newbie Drone for making something different. They're making it for the Facebook group enthusiast. And look, if you're going to do like 2-inch long range, this is it. Long range rigs are not durable. Long range rigs sacrifice everything for efficiency and longer range. Thus the name, long range. So yeah, I think of this as a long range 2-inch. It appears to be 2-inch, I'm assuming. 03. And if you do that with it, it's probably the best bind and fly that there is. So, yeah. But for the love of God, do not crash this rig. If nothing else, maybe the frame is strong enough. They have an interesting little truss structure on the giraffe neck, but that camera being 100% exposed, that camera is going to hit the ground first and just implode. And those cameras are like $90 or something. And isn't there also some weirdness with those cameras needing to be registered to the VTX and like you can't replace them or something? Or maybe it's just you can't buy the cheap replacement camera, you have to buy the $90 replacement camera. Maybe that's what it is. There's some weirdness with the 03 cameras though, and either they can't be replaced, somebody will correct me in the chat, either they can't be replaced or you can't replace them with the cheap one. You have to buy the $90 replacement camera. $90! That's insane. But again, if you're just flying long range, you're probably not going to crash. If you do crash, you're going to crash into like the grass or something. I guess, yeah, if you're into the grass crashes, you might be okay with this thing. But it ain't for me. This is not a quad for me. I would break that camera off literally on the first battery. What an odd looking rig. Where are we at here? Nemesis says, thanks for the point taken. Don't crash. That's it. That's all you gotta know. FPV 101. Just don't crash. Just don't fly. Off Axis says giraffes can't turtle. It would actually make it turtle mode. It would actually make it turtle easier. Anything that sticks up, it'll make it turtle mode easier. Nemesis FPV says the OG 210 clone. I know it sounds crazy, but it has less moving parts than any modern frame. Yeah, unibodies, I'll agree with that. And I only argue this point because it's my experience. I agree that newer frames are better. Yeah, I mean, there have been solid base plate frames that are plenty strong, but they're also heavy. And I'm a weight Nazi, so yeah. For me, like saving 5 grams on a frame, it makes a big deal. So the removable arm frames for me are just magic. 661 says the V1 Fyujon, most insane name ever. The RX and VTX can be separated, broken into 2 parts on the perforation. Now that's fucking cool. The V2, it's all one board. You idiots! With the mounting tabs on breakoffs. You jerks! Way to make the V2 worse, you idiots! Probably did it on purpose. It was probably breaking at the point that separated it. Doubles FPV says got a Mobula 6 in December and lost my first motor 0802 25,000 kV. Bittersweet as I have a set of WeBleed screamers coming this week. How long should motors hold up for indoor-outdoor ripping? Oh, that's a great question, Doubles, but it's not a question with an answer. That is a 100% personal, individual answer to that. For me, if I get a month out of a set of motors, I'm happy. Usually I get more than that, but if I fly a lot, motors are going to get... So, for example, right, the Mobula 6 2024, I'm probably only about 50 batteries into this, but 10 of those batteries or 12 of those batteries were extreme durability testing. Extreme durability testing for me could just be oh, there's a really cool dive gap down the fucking laundry chute. I have to hit this. I have to hit this clean at least once. It doesn't necessarily need to be a live stream where I'm like, hey, let's do a gigantic corkscrew move all the way across the entire living room down the stairs that's damn near impossible to do. It could literally just be like I find some really cool little move, this goddamn propeller again, and I just become hell-bent on hitting it. And there's plenty of people like that. There's plenty of people that will dive a ladder gap this big with a 5-inch rig 50 times in a row and just annihilate everything just for the sake of getting it clean once. There's other people that just don't crash and that just don't fly either. So for them, the motors will last forever. But yeah, it's impossible to really answer that. For me, like, if you have, here's what I can say. If you have like 10 crashes that are so hard that you have that like gut reaction of like, oh, that's pretty good. The motor shafts on these tiny whoop motors are only 1 millimeter, and that's really, really, really thin. I wish they would change them all to 1.5 millimeters, because that's the thickness of the motor shaft I recently found out below the bell. So it's kind of insane that they thin it out above the bell. It's pretty frustrating, but whatever. They're not quite strong enough. But look, the tiny whoop motors are incredibly cheap, right? Like a set of tiny whoop motors is what like 1.5 5-inch motors cost. So it's hard to complain too loudly about it. But the way that you make motors last longer, focus on this. Focus on how do I make motors last longer. 702s, because they're lighter weight. And then look at your rig and try to figure out where you can save weight. I did that for literally years, and the Ultimate Freestyle Tiny Whoop formula is the best of all of that. It's the strongest and lightest canopy. It's the strongest and lightest frame. This is the Newbie Drone Cockroach V3. I'm also really impressed by the Mobula 6 2024 frame. These are my two favorites at the moment. 702s, of course. Props don't really have anything to do with it. AIO, yeah, I mean, the Happymodel AIO that we can't get anymore is the best that I've found. The Mobula 6 2024 AIO seems to be damn good, so whenever it comes out, it's going to be the one to have. And then lately we've figured out the antenna thing. Speaking of, it's 1222. And I haven't done anything that's in the stream title or thumbnail. So I'm going to blast through the rest of the chat, and then I'm going to try as quickly as I can to do some of the stuff that's in the thumbnail and the stream title, and then we're going to wrap it up. Okay. Northern Tier says, does frame gel work or a joke? What is frame gel? Frame gel. Are you talking about Nano gel? Are you talking about the vibration reducing gel? It absolutely does work. It's not gonna work miracles, but it absolutely does work. If you've got a rig where your tune is like right on the edge, where like every once in a while it'll like freak out a little bit, and you Nano gel the arms, or there's another grease on FPV Cycle or Chris Rosser's website, one or the other. There's an even better grease than this. If you have that rig where the tune is on the edge and then you Nano gel the arms, the tune will be off the edge and it will be perfectly happy. So it does something. If you've got a rig that is over the edge and it's flying away and you Nano gel the arms, it will not stop flying away. It might come back to the point where the tune is on the edge and it might be a little bit flyable, but it's not a miracle worker. It's not going to fix a build. It's going to slightly improve a build. So don't expect it to fix anything. Just expect it to slightly improve something. There's kind of no reason not to use it. It's a little messy, but you know, it's cheap. Use it. It helps a little bit. Nemesis says, thanks for the point taken. Don't crash. There it is. But Anderson says, I think I already read that. You're going to have to do better than that. I got people lining up around the block to tell me what a bad person I am. Mo FPV is in the house. He says, I just joined in time. LOL, yeah, I'm interested in this giraffe-looking quad. Kilo Zebra says, see general nonsense for my feelings on the 03. Kilo Zebra, where are you? Oh my God. Look at this shit. Yikes. Is this the ugliest quad ever made? Could be. Obviously, it doesn't have the face on it, but I think it's maybe the ugliest quad ever, which is fine. You know, sometimes quads got to be ugly. Look, you're not looking at the goddamn thing when you're flying it. You're looking through the lens. So what do you care if it's ugly? That's the most annoying thing about doing like a nice clean build and like putting fucking fancy LEDs all over it and like color coding your goddamn TPU, and then you never fucking see it. I don't know what any of the ARM LEDs look like on these rigs that I build. I'm not fucking one of them. No idea. It probably looks really cool up in the air. I have no clue. Never seen it. Curtis Hayes says, shitters, come on, YouTube. Most of my 1S batteries are Puffy, okay to fly, totally okay to fly. The performance is going to kind of suck, but yeah, totally okay to fly. I know I need to buy more, but they are Fire Sticks waiting to happen. Wait, are they Fire Sticks waiting to happen? Look, Tiny Whoop batteries are so small and the MAH is so low that even if they do let go, I've never seen one shoot actual fire. They just shoot the smoke and the gases. You don't want to breathe that shit in, but they're probably not going to burn your house down. No reason to find out the hard way, though. You should never, ever, 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 I don't care how big or small the LiPo battery is, you should never put them down on a flammable surface. Never put them down on the carpet. Always have something that they live in, right? Like, it just something metal, something non-flammable is where your batteries need to live at all times. If you put a battery down on the carpet and it burns your house down, it is 100% your fault. Never, ever, 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 ever do it. If you have a fireplace, set up your charging station on the concrete of the fireplace. Go to your military surplus store and buy a couple of ammo cans. Those are great for storing batteries in. Make sure you take the rubber gasket out, because an ammo can will seal, and if a battery goes off in there, now you've got a bomb. So pull the rubber gasket out of the lid so that there's an air gap for the smoke to get out. Yeah, there's a million ways to don't put your batteries in plastic. Plastic will catch on fire. Put them in metal. This is the WeBleed Band-Aids case, and your little 1S batteries fit perfectly in this fucking thing, and it's metal, so it won't catch on fire. The little cheapo, like $5, $10 Kevlar bags, buy a shitload of them. Have a dozen of these. Put them all over the place. Put them next to your desk. Put them wherever you put your bag when you first come home. Put them by your charger. Always have a couple of these little Kevlar bags. You can fold the lid inside of it. Come on, you bastard. You can fold the lid inside of it like this so that you've got a nice little Kevlar pouch. Have one of these sitting by your desk so that any battery, this is like my bench battery, just drop it in there like that. If it starts shooting fire, it'll shoot fire up. It won't shoot it sideways to catch the carpet on fire. These Kevlar bags work phenomenally well. Flight Test has a video where they tested the Bat Safe compared to these, and these did extremely well. You have to have them. Every time you do an order, if the website has a Kevlar bag, snag one. End up with like 5 or 6 of these and you won't burn your house down. If you have a bunch of them, you'll have a couple empty ones. And then that one time that you were going to put the battery down on the carpet because you were just going to leave the room for 5 minutes, you'll put it in the Kevlar and that'll be the battery that catches on fire. It's a really big deal. It's, you know, I'm kind of making light of it, but I shouldn't be. Just like a couple weeks ago, someone's house burned down from a fucking LiPo fire. Somebody in the FPV community. It will continue happening. LiPos, when we smash the shit out of them, when we over discharge them, they're fragile as it is, and then we abuse them. And yes, when they're fully charged, the bigger batteries will shoot fire. If you've got a tiny whoop battery that's, you know, they're HV, so they're overcharged to 4.35, I don't know, maybe if it fails just wrong, maybe it could shoot fire, and just enough fire in the exact wrong place could light your house on fire. It's not something to screw around with. So yeah, be careful. Don't be... Look, here's the other thing. If they're fully charged, any of these batteries, if they're fully charged, that's when they shoot fire. You should not be leaving your batteries fully charged. You should charge your batteries and then go fly them. That is how you make your batteries last the longest, perform the best, and not light your house on fire. If you charge your batteries and then go out and fly them, when you come home, they're going to be at storage voltage or less than storage voltage, and they will not shoot fire when they are at storage voltage or below. They will just gas. And again, the gas is ugly, but it's not going to burn your house down. So yeah, your batteries should not be fully charged where they can shoot flames for very long. Try to charge your batteries before you go out. Worst case, like late the night before, if there's no possible way that you can charge them the next day. But when these things are fully charged, they need to be in Kevlar. They need to be not near anything flammable, because that's when they can burn your shit down. And it'll keep happening, unfortunately. Alfaxis says that the giraffe quad comes with a landing pillow. Curtis Hayes says the cheap replacement 03 will show a calibration error in the lower right corner forever. That's it. That's what it is. Curtis Hayes says, let's do the giveaway. It's 12:30 already, and I have to do this shit. We're going to do the giveaway on Wednesday. Whoop Wednesday giveaway. Just somebody remind me. We'll do it on Wednesday. Sorry, guys. Northern Tier says, wasn't sure of the name of it. Thanks, Danzilla, for providing the name. I don't know what we're talking about, but it sounds like you guys are good to go. Ramadas says, Lawi Cobb R. Ruddy Awesome. I don't know what that means, brother. I'm sorry. Curtis Hayes says, I've had to throw a 6S that was popping into a fire bag in my basement. Lots of fire. Ran it outside. Had a buddy's drone test in my basement. Spoke. Ran it outside. More Kevlar. Yeah, man. Having a bunch of these little Kevlar bags is really, really, really nice. And you'll spend like $30 total to get 4 or 5 or 6 of them and just put them all over the place. Wise Max says, where to get a bag again? You can find these Kevlar bags on most websites. Just look in their battery section, look in their battery storage section. There's all different sizes. There's all different shapes. It doesn't matter. Every single time you do an order, throw a Kevlar battery bag on the order. Most websites will have at least 1 or 2. Just keep buying them. And it's also really cool to have a bunch of different sizes. Like, just to kind of show you guys that I'm not just saying this, that I'm actually serious about this. This one's from Rotor Riot. This is an Emax one. This is from Banggood. This is from Beta FPV. This is another one from Banggood. This is another one from Rotor Riot. So yeah, you can get them damn near anywhere. You just have to get them. You absolutely need to have them. There's another couple over here. There's a ammo crate over here as well. You can, to be honest, you can just get a couple of ammo crates if you don't want to. You can just go to your local military surplus store. I'm certain that that every single one of us has a military surplus store within 10 miles. And snag a couple of ammo cans for $5-10 per, and yeah, you're good to go. Ammo cans are kind of ugly and they're big and heavy, and the people you live with might not love military grade ammo cans all over the fucking house. But if it saves your house, like Blah said, go for it. Kevin Sumner says, are those bags Kevlar? I thought they were fiberglass. I thought they were Kevlar, but Kevlar is kind of expensive. Maybe they are fiberglass. I don't know. Flight Test tested these silver ones that look just like this forever ago, and they did everybody was blown away by how well they did. And then Joshua Bardwell also tested these, and they did really well for him. So yeah, whatever they're made of, they seem to work really, really well. And when you get one, like, you can just kind of feel it. Like, it feels like fire wouldn't go through it. And that's, yeah, it's good enough for me. All right, for Christ's sakes, here we go. Finally caught up on chat. Antenna testing. Let's do the antenna testing first. So, linear whip antenna is our first test. I'm going to fly a battery. You guys have to be the judge of this. I'm going to be in the goggles. So, I'm going to fly a battery on the linear antenna. Then I'm going to fly a battery on the TBS antenna. Then I'm going to fly a battery on the singularity antenna. And then I'm going to fly a battery on the singularity antenna with better antenna placement. My antenna placement for these first 3 tests is not great. It's over here on the desk to my left, and it's sitting flat on the wooden particle board desk. The 4th test will be the best antenna placement. The antenna will be up here, elevated and closer to the center of the room. So I'm relying on you guys to tell me which of these 3 antennas performs the best, hopefully. I have a funny feeling that we're not going to be able to tell, but we'll see in a minute. And then I think on that 4th test, I'm hoping that the 4th test is noticeably better, because what I have preached forever and what we figured out yesterday is how important antenna placement really is. Yesterday was a nice reminder. Basically, if you didn't watch yesterday's live stream, this is the shittiest possible antenna setup. There's no ground plane, but the active element of the antenna is as far away as possible from all of the other shit that might block the signal coming out of it, versus the best quality antenna, the TrueRC Singularity, cramped up inside the canopy right next to the AIO that has a big thick copper ground plane in it. Magnets on the motors, a camera, plastic, all kinds of other garbage. We are going to do all of the testing on this rig with the worse antenna placement. The good quality antenna, but bad antenna placement. Hold on, let me think. Because this is going to transmit the shittiest, which will be more easy for you guys to tell. It'll be easier for you to... Yeah. Because we're not testing this right now. We're testing the receiver side antennas. And so if the signal is as shitty as possible coming out of this, that will show you guys more garbage. If I test this with the good antenna placement, all 3 of these antennas might look really good. Also, this rig has been acting up, so I need to repair this rig so I can do both the antenna testing and the repair that I put in the stream title and the thumbnail at the same time. First battery is going to be as this thing is, and I'm going to talk about the problem with it, and then we're going to switch props, and that'll let us use our clone prop popper, and then we'll take it from there. Let me get the replacement props out here. Maybe we'll move it over to... Maybe we'll change it to a different propeller. Which rig is this? Is this the 0603 rig? I think it is. Yeah, this is the 0603 30,000 kV rig. Give me 1 second. I got to go open the door to the upstairs and probably turn a couple of lights on up there as well. Hold on. Hang on. All right, here we go. Once I go upstairs, the signal quality will get pretty bad, and you guys should be able to you guys should be able to definitely tell the difference. All right, so let me power cycle this. And come on now. Hey, there it is. All right, so I'm going to leave that right there. Okay, so first test, we're going to use a old beat up battery because that's actually going to make this thing fly a little bit better. I might have banged up one of these motors, but let's just get a baseline here, and we'll go from there. Here we go. Oh, this is the rig that I turned on the RPM OSD element. Those 4 zeros on the right are going to be the RPM on each one of the motors, motor 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can just kind of ignore it. I was just playing around, and I've forgotten to turn that back off. All right, so this is the linear antenna on the receiver. So this in the bad location. So this should be the worst. I'm not going to be able to tell, though, because I'm in the goggles. So we'll fly around down here just for a second. And again, here's the antenna placement of the receiver. You see it there? There's the receiver right there. All right. It's going to stay there for these first 3 batteries. The antennas are just going to change. Oh, boy. Oh, God. This rig isn't too bad, as you can see. Putting it on a banged-up battery has helped it. If I put this on a fresh battery, it's going to fly away. That's what it was doing the other day. Yikes. All right, let's go upstairs. So now you guys should start to see a bunch of garbage. Oh, wow, I just got I'm getting like really weird white flashes. I'm using the, my old Fat Shark HD3s though. Now up here, it should get really bad for you guys. And the test that I was doing the other day is parking it on this little box here. So let's do that. And I'll give you guys a second. All right, so that is on the box. We're going to land all of these on the box. Let me go into the OSD and make sure that we're on 25 milliwatts. Yeah, race 8, 25 milliwatts. So shouldn't be any... I'm getting a bunch of white flashing. That's weird. Woo! Nice little catch. All right, let me rip this around up here a little bit more. Yeah, got away with it. Ooh! The little hanging light tap. That really tried to get me. All right. So, if you guys want, you can do like 1 out of 10 in terms of quality, if it helps you kind of remember in chat. So, linear antenna on the receiver, 1 out of 10. Or just remember. All right, so this rig actually flew completely fine, but you might have noticed a little bit of jello. That jello is because either one of the motors or one of the propellers is bent up. So to start that troubleshoot, I'm going to go into turtle mode, I'm going to arm it, and I'm going to spin each motor up very slowly, and I'm going to feel for the vibrations. That one's not great. That's motor 1. Not great. Motor 2. Nice and smooth. Motor 4. Somewhere in the middle. Motor 3. Nice and smooth. So motor 1. Motor 1 could be the problem. Motor 4 is not nearly as bad as motor 1. So let's do this. We're going to swap just the propeller on motor 1. And we're going to swap the battery, and I'm going to swap the antenna on this receiver. So receiver antenna is coming off here. And I'm going to put on the TBS antenna. This old school one. Forget the name of it. I had to check the pin. These are this is basically an E-Sheen receiver, and for some ungoddamn known reason they use RPSMA instead of SMA. Off axis says that said 400, not 25. The part that you want to look at is always the top part. Up top where it did say 25, that's what the current setting is on. The number in the middle of the screen is the number that you would be changing it to if you went down and hit set. So yeah, the number up top was 25 milliwatts. All right, I put that receiver in the exact same spot, and now it's got the different antenna on it. We are going to use the clone prop popper for the first time. And let's see how this skinnier hook... Whoa, that skinnier hooker dropped right on there. That was pretty cool. Oh, okay. It is... Okay, yeah, no, I was about to say it's a little bit harder to use it as a as like a pry bar, but that was pretty nice. I'm already a fan of that. I'm gonna take a fresh propeller. These are the Gemfan 1219S's, and I'm gonna put an absolutely brand new propeller on here, and then we're gonna spin this motor back up in turtle mode again and see if, compared to the other motors, it has a little bit less vibration. So there's the fresh prop. This is the battery that we just burned. And we'll throw another beat up old battery on it. Save the good ones for last. And we're just going to do this test super quick. We're already in turtle mode. And we're going to spin up motor 1, the one that was vibrating really bad, and compare it to the others. Come on now. Come on now. Bind, you bastard. There it is. All right, so motor 2, nice and smooth. Motor 1, a little bit better compared to motor 4. Oh no, it was a lot better. Okay, yeah, so that propeller was... you guys might not have... The reason why I'm showing you how to do it this way is you guys might not have a baseline as to how much vibration is too much vibration because you haven't done this little test 10,000 times like I have. But it's easy. There's 3 other motors on here. So spin those others up and then compare it to the one that you were just changing. Yeah, I mean, that motor shaft is a little bit bent for sure. But the propeller was bent as well. So this should be a little bit better. There should be a little bit less jello on this battery. Although it really wasn't that bad on that last one. But now we test this antenna out. Here we go. Whoa, okay. Good, let's knock this... The one thing that I don't want to knock down. The one thing on the table. Oh, God! Oh, I hit the ceiling just at the last second there. Oh, what was that? What caught me at the last second there? We were floating all nice. All right, so there's your downstairs testing that, whoa, this battery went to hell in a hurry. Hurry up and get upstairs, Jesus. All right, a little bit of living room flying. I'm going to keep it tame. Although, no, I can't keep it tame. I got to flip and flop it around because the more I flip and flop it around, the more I'm going to put this antenna in between the PCB and you guys. Wow, look at this battery just shitting its pants. What a piece of garbage. There we go. There's the wall test. Turn it a little bit. I mean, for me, this all looks fine. Turn it again. And now I gotta haul ass back downstairs before this battery completely poops in its pants. Just another really quick bing bong around here. And then here we come. Oh man, this battery needs to go in the garbage. Although it did run for over 2 minutes, so... all right, there you go. 1 out of 10. Better or worse? Better or worse? Should be better. This is a much better antenna that I've put on the receiver there. And the... I think the jello is pretty much gone. So, now we're going to go to the TrueRC Singularity Stubby. This is an even better antenna, but it should be... it's going to be in a much worse position. It's going to be right against the table. So there's 2 people that says... no, just one person Where's everybody at? Did everybody go to sleep? Nobody's helping me with. It was one person helping me with this test. Much fresher battery. We'll fly a little bit harder on this one. Tempted to change the props over, but I really like these propellers. Here we go. True RC singularity antenna in similar position to the other two, but an admittedly bad antenna position. And then we'll do a good antenna position after this. Better. There we go. Okay, cool. So that makes sense. This will be interesting if this is better or worse. If it's better, that means just that the singularity antenna is better than the TBS antenna. Oh! Right into the edge of the symbol. That hurt my soul. If it's worse, my guess is going to be that it's worse because antenna placement, you fuckbag. Antenna placement is really important. Oh. Here we go. Ooh, the Jello is back from one of those crashes. Oh, I thought I could pull that off. Get the hell out of there. Don't you dare. All right, so there's your downstairs flying. We go upstairs. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Grooving around. Let's get it onto the box. Oh my God, really? Yeah, it's the simple things that sometimes you just can't do. All right, there's the box test. Spin it around. And here we go. Hey, get it out of the room. Man, these fresh batteries are just, ooh, the best. And here a little bit. Woo! Oh, God. All right. So hopefully by now you guys should know if it's better or worse. Woo! Low battery already? What the hell? Battery felt a lot better. It didn't last very long. No! This is the rig with the 603s, though. These motors are definitely hungrier than 702s. Oh, I missed it. Not quite. Oh, screw you. This battery's done. Better or worse? Worse. That makes sense. Want to see something magic? It's about to get better. We're going to move it. We're going to change the antenna placement. Oh, that's weird. SK says, oddly more clear when there's no static. That's super weird. Hopefully that's just a coincidence. All right. Oh, fuck you. Fell off. Hold on. I gotta get it somewhat secure here. All right. Much better antenna placement on this one. If I can get it to stay. That is. There we go. Hopefully that'll stay there. All right, so here we go. Another fresh-ish battery. And right. So everybody's saying worse, right? Yep. All right, now this should be better. If this is not better, we're going to talk about why. Same kind of stuff. Oh, totally missed it. Oh my God, what's happening? Oh, last second decision change on where to go. Oh, God, the chair got me. The image clarity could be because I'm beating up these propellers. We just want to pay attention to static. Oh, God. There we go. All right, so there's your little living room test. Now we're going to go 2 floors up, park it on the box. All right. And away we go. This is my concentrating voice. Oh, God, why? Ooh, that was close. That was a close one. Ooh. Come back down. Okay, let's fall down the stairs together. Hooray! Whee! Wait, I think I'm right side up. I am. Where am I? I'm halfway down. This rig's a little heavy, and like from all the time I've now spent with the really lightweight Mobula 6 2024, boy oh boy, can I notice the difference in all up weight. There's just this rig has a bunch of extra momentum that I used to be used to, and now I'm not. Stop it! Leave me alone. Let me do more than one fucking trick in a row, you dirty rat bastard. Stop it. Everything stopped getting me. Oh, I closed my eyes on that one. I thought I was going to hit myself. Ah! Just don't crash, bro. Just don't crash. Don't even fly. Don't have any fun. FPV is not about fun. It's about serious no crashing business. Just don't crash, you idiot. What are you, an idiot? You crash? That was a cool fucking move right there that I've never done before. Hold on. Hold the fucking phone. Oh, God! Maybe that's why I've never done it before. Hold on, we gotta do it at least one more time. Oh! Welcome to a new move, my friends. The side desk huck, we shall call it. Better when disarmed, noisy when it's armed. That's weird. Wisemac says, went back in the stream to see Fresh compare. Super better. Best. It's about chicks. Go back about 14 to 15 minutes stream to see the first run. Yeah. There it is, my friends. Antenna placement, antenna placement, antenna placement, antenna placement, antenna placement. I would love to see like 1 or 2 more people say that was the best run. But antenna placement is incredibly important. The more air between the 2 antennas makes the biggest difference. You can ask any long range person about this. It's not the quality of the antennas obviously matters, but your antenna placement is way more important. And you just got to see that. It sounds like you just got to see that. I might actually rewatch this stream and go back for myself because I don't trust you guys. But no, it totally makes sense that this last setup. Oh, I forgot to show you. I wanted to show you where the antenna was. I showed you where the first 3 tests were. Here's where the last one was. Right up top. Right. So here's the desk. This is where it was before, and then I just moved it up there, and it's that same TrueRC antenna, but up loud and proud, right? Like up nice and high, vertical, not sideways, sort of in the middle of the room, right? Like there's the wall versus it was down here on fiberboard. Versus up there. So yeah, man, that I'm very glad that last one did look better, because if it hadn't, I'd be a little confused. Not really. There's some things at play, but yeah, it is not because if we'd done that same line of testing with a linear antenna versus the CP that we'd tested, it would have shown the same thing. Linear to CP is better than linear to linear. There's a weird like urban myth in FPV that if you run a linear antenna on your quad, that you should also run the linear antenna on your goggles. That's not true. Going from a linear to a CP antenna improves performance across the board, whether you do it on just one or whether you do it on both. It gives you better performance, full stop. That's something that's been tested by the antenna manufacturers forever. So yeah. I do have another battery. Let me put one more battery on this rig and see. I'm gonna spin these motors up. I think I banged up one of these propellers. Hold on, let me see. I'll stop it. All right. Arm. Here you go. Yeah, this right rear motor is a little banged up, but it's not that bad. Let's go into the... Whoa, okay. Nope. Let's go into the... Oh, man. I do not have a very aggressive tune on this. What? Why is this having such a hard time? Damn. Do I have the filters set weird on this? Hold on. Actually, my guess is going to be that this has an ICM 2086 gyro. I bet you that's what's going on here. So we did the antenna test. Now we're going to do the more quads need fixing test. I'm going to trash this propeller because it was the bulk of the problem there. But now we're going to come in and take a look at filters real quick. Come on, Betaflight. You can do it. Please. Please, Betaflight. Let's also go to ESC configurator, just super quick, and make sure that there's no weirdness there. Let's make sure it's on 0.16. Plug in a battery in, connect, read settings, and... Oh, I gotta turn my transmitter off. Yep, it's on 0.16 at 48K, so we're fine. Normal. Startup power is turned up. Beep strength is turned down. That's weird. Let's fix that. Brake on stop is turned on. That's fine. Rate settings. All right, yeah. So the ESC settings are fine. Hey, perfect timing. And disconnect. All right, cool. So now we're gonna come into Betaflight and let's take a look at. First of all, let's see what gyro is on here. In order to do that, you go into the CLI and you type status. STATUS, and I bet what we see is ICM 2089. I said 6 before. There it is. So this is the worst. This is the worst gyro. It's just kind of sensitive. It's a little too sensitive of a gyro. MPU 6000 is better. BMI 270 is better. It's not unusable, but yeah, I will not be able to get the PID tune as aggressive on this rig because of that gyro. Wow, there's a lot of delay there. What the hell's going on here? Hold on, let's check the configuration. PID loop is at 4K. OSD is on. Air mode is permanently on. It's fine. Interesting. Why is there so much delay? You know what? Somebody asked about overclocking the other day. Let's try something. All right, check this out. Look at the delay. Look at the amount of delay here. So you can see me in the corner. Ready? Look at all that delay. Look down here. The CPU load is 54%. This could be a part of the problem here. This is a bit much. CPU load is 54%. Let's overclock and see if that fixes it. Get CPU. And so it is currently at 108 megahertz. So I'm going to highlight this. copy it to the clipboard. I'm going to type set. I'm going to paste that. I'm going to change 108 to 120 MHz. Hit enter. CPU overclock set to 120. Save. And let's see if that changes it. Fracticalist thinks the delay is USB delay. Let's see. Whoa, okay. So, that's interesting. And now look at the CPU load. The CPU load was at 54%. Now it's down at 45%. Good God, man. Wow. Okay. This, I don't like the gyro on here anyway, so I'm going to leave this thing overclocked. And if it blows up, then, hey, one less AIO with the shitty gyro. Wow. That was something else. Let's ABA test that, though. Let's go back. Kevin Sumner, you and I are eye to eye on this one. Get CPU. Oh, wait, no, I still have it in the clipboard. Set space 108. Back down to 108. Save. And connect. Okay. Now, it's back. And the CPU load is at 53%. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know. It was just weird that one time. Interesting. Okay. Well, good. I'd rather not leave it overclocked, to be honest. It just seems reckless. So, why, other than the gyro, why is this, why can't I get the pids more aggressive on here? Shouldn't be anything in here, but just for the sake of double checking, let's make sure that nothing's weird in here. Nah, everything looks fine in here. It won't be rates, but I just like to double check stuff. I do have a bunch of Throttle Expo in here. That's interesting. Let me take a little bit of Throttle Expo out. All right, let's take a look at the filters. Looks about right. Let me try this. Let me add a second dynamic notch, and I'll bring the Q factor down a little bit. So I'm going to add a second dynamic notch filter, but I'm going to make both dynamic notch filters a little bit more narrow. And so I will actually end up adding a little bit of filter delay, but it'll filter a lot better, potentially, with that second dynamic notch filter. And let's give that a shot. So those filter settings are saved. I'm going to immediately bump the PID tune up to 1.4 and 1.2. And then as soon as I arm it, if it's angry, then we know the extra filtering didn't really help. Because this was like close to the limit of the tune. On a really fresh battery, this was acting the fool. See how that is. Here we go. Look at all that super glue. Come on, transmitter, turn on. Turn on. This battery is not super fresh. Look at that. Look at the core getting hot really fast. Nope, that's zero throttle and it's flying away. So the extra filtering didn't help at all. That's a quick and easy way to know whether, if you make a change to the filtering, whether or not it's helping or not. So interesting. So sitting on the ground, this thing is getting hot really fast. I mean, that's just sort of a blown up AIO. That there's not much that can be, right? Like when it's sitting there not armed, there's not a whole lot going on. There's certainly almost nothing going on in the in Betaflight that you can change. Yeah. Weird. No, I had this plugged in. It was getting hot quick because I had it plugged in. That's why. But at the same time, this sucks. I gotta bring the pids back down. That's a shame. Let's fly it with the extra filtering to make sure that... Wow, nope. It hates the extra filtering. Boy, oh boy, does it hate the extra filtering. It just flew away with the pids where they were before. So yeah, that's a great example of how sometimes adding additional filtering on really high RPM rigs is a bad thing. So let's go the other way. Let's remove a bunch of filtering. Boy, tiny whoops can be counterintuitive sometimes. I mean, there's no... you can't really argue what just happened, though. So here we go. Filter settings. We are going to bring this back down to 1 dynamic notch. Make the Q factor up at 500 again. Actually, no. I'm going to leave the Q factor down at 400 because we're removing filtering here. And then I'm going to make the D-term filtering. I'm going to remove some D-term filtering. Move it from 1.2 to 1.5. That's a pretty big change. I removed a lot of filtering just now. I'm tempted to also turn off... Fuck it. Let's turn off the gyro filter altogether. Let's really remove a bunch of filtering. We're going to leave the pids where they were, though. This was a working rig. And we're going to get it working again, but we're going to try to get it into a place where we can push the pids up. A bunch of people have suggested that we need a t-shirt that says this was a working rig on it. I let CMYK know, and so he can think about it. Nope. It was a little bit better. It didn't immediately fly away, but man, I took a ton of filtering out just now. Let's add some of that back in. Okay, so come in here and come back in here. Removing the D-term filter, it was almost certainly what did it. You see what my mouse is doing? This fucking die mouse. We're gonna bring the D-term filtering down to 1.2. I'm gonna leave the gyro filtering turned off though, and let's try making the dynamic notch filter even more narrow. Going from 500 Q factor down to 300. And let's see what that does. So that we've still removed a big chunk of filtering and we've turned off the gyro filtering completely. If this flies, that's pretty cool. I mean, we might have been in the sweet spot. Nope. I think, you know, I've tried an awful lot of different filtering setups on these tiny whoops, and the filtering setup that I have on most of them is kind of like where I've settled. And this happens to me every once in a while. I think like, oh yeah, I can make it better. I can make it better, and I'll change some things subtly, and it'll make it worse. I don't know. There's just this little simple filter setup that I've landed on seems to work really, really well. And just think, I didn't use black box once. Although I based some of this filtering setup off of people that have used black box, so I can't really say that I didn't use I didn't personally use black box, but black box was involved in this filtering setup. So now we are almost exactly back where we were. Not quite. I think I left that Q factor down a little bit. But let's see. It was here. It was on the limit. Man, it is acting up. This rig has always been a dick. This AIO has always been a pain in the ass like this. But that was definitely better. You know what I mean? Like that was better than than where it's been on any of those other filtering setups that I just sort of had. So I guess I'm gonna leave it there. What's going on with you, little friend? What are you so upset about? This build is like the pids are way lower than any of the other builds. I mean, it flies fine. Like, there's zero prop wash. It could just be these motors. These are 603 motors, which are a motor that has better response time than any of the other motors on any of these other rigs. And so when the motor has better response time, you don't have to go, and you can't go as aggressive on the pids. The more aggressive you go on, for you guys, it's this way, the more aggressive you go on the pid sliders, the shorter the timing is. Having motors that react quicker shortens up the timing. So you literally can't push the pids as far. It just, when I look at those pid numbers, I'm like, ugh, that's kind of, that's not aggressive enough. But there's like an artificial bump in the pids because of these motors. So that's probably what's going on here. It's not, it's, I mean, there's nothing else that, I guess it could be the antenna. Hey, I wanted to switch the antenna anyway. We are fixing rigs, but boy, it is after 1 o'clock. So we're going to save that for Whoop Wednesday. We're going to work on this. I did overclock, Jay. It didn't help anything. Yeah. It's too late. It's too late to do an antenna swap. I don't have an extra one of my ultra lightweight antennas. I do have an extra regular antenna, and on Wednesday I'm going to show you how to turn this into an ultralight antenna, and then we're going to put that on this. And there is a chance that could help. That could help things. There is a chance that this antenna crammed under the canopy is banging into the AIO. I've never had that happen, but I've always kind of wondered if that could maybe be happening. So we will myth bust that on Whoop Wednesday, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Come on back and stop asking so damn many good questions, and we can get more bench work done, my friends, without these streams going 3.5 hours long. Nah, don't do that. Always ask all the questions, man. Most value I can offer is answering your guys' questions. So always ask me loads of questions. Because you're not the only one that has that question. There's a whole bunch of other people that have that exact same question and they didn't even know it. So keep up the good work, my friends. Don't crash. Just don't do it. Exactly, Blah. 661 says, whenever I get mad delay in the setup screen model, it's always my computer, not the drone. Interesting. I've noticed it every once in a while, but I've never really paid attention to it. Kevin Sumner says, now unclock, see if it goes back the same way. Galaxy Brains at 1 a.m. Nate Adams says, holy cow, I didn't realize how late this went. I have a 3.5-inch rig with Speedy B 20x20 stack that had a bad crash, getting the first 3 beeps and then a single beep. Really? Suggestions where to start. So you're getting doot. I've never experienced that. I've only ever experienced nothing. I have no idea why it would only give you the single beep from the flight controller. No clue. If the flight controller giving you any beeps, my guess is that the flight controller is broken because the ESC is giving you the first 3 beeps, so it's fine. Do this. Go into the motors tab and spin the motors up. Pretty sure the flight controller is broken. It shouldn't be the ESC. It should not be the ESC that's broken. If you have another flight controller, swap it in. Look, that is a really cheap, really good stack from what I've heard. Snag an extra flight controller. Get that same flight controller again is what I would do, and then just swap it on there and see what happens. Worst case scenario, it is the ESC. You've got an extra flight controller. You're going to break the flight controller someday anyway. I can pretty much bet that it's the flight controller, though. So snag an extra, drop it on there. Just plug it in. Yeah. Yep. Take the new flight controller and just plug it in. And see what happens. I bet you get all the beeps. And then you solder it up. And you've realized that your old flight controller is broken. It's either the flight controller or the ESC. It could be... Technically, it could be one of the components that is hooked up to the flight controller has blown up and it's shorting. So, desolder. You got to pull it apart anyway. It's not working. You're going to have to do this anyway. Desolder the VTX. If anything that's connected to the flight controller, one at a time, desolder them and see if it fixes the behavior. If it doesn't, the flight controller is probably dead. Get a new one. Just plug it into the ESC. See what happens. If when you desolder your VTX, for example, or your receiver, and all of a sudden it works again, you know that component is dead. When components that are soldered up to the flight controller die and they fail closed, the flight controller does all kinds of weird shit. Sometimes the flight controller explodes because there's a closed circuit. Or open circuit? Whatever. So yeah, and you have to desolder those components anyway. Probably. It might be that the ESC has died, but I doubt it. So yeah, do that. Pull it apart. Desolder your receiver. See what happens. Desolder your VTX if that's hooked up. If the power is hooked up to the flight controller. If your VTX is powered from the ESC, don't worry about it. But yeah, if your receiver let go and it's failed as a open or closed circuit, whatever the fuck it is, that could be the problem. Cool. But I would just buy an extra flight controller now just to get it on its way. You're gonna need it someday. Wisemac said, Nate Adams says that's what I was thinking. CMYK says just finished a 5-inch clip from yesterday's first flight. Gotta say flying that essentially only flying the 65mm also for 12 months made me a better pilot. Thank you, dude. You're certainly welcome. A lot of people like to say like, oh, flying tiny whoops isn't real. You gotta fly 5-inch to get better. Fuck off. Go look at SR13 and then suck my ass. Wisemac says, so if I want to move the guts of my Firefly Nano to a 3-inch toothpick, would it be new frame and motors? Savage B 1.8 frame, 1202s, 11 420 kV, something fun to throw around outside. I would try those motors. If hopefully the motor wires are long enough. I would leave those motors on. Maybe motor limit them down a little bit, but try those motors out first. 1202 might be enough. I would get a 3-inch toothpick frame, pick up some 2.5-inch WeBleed lightweight propellers, and put those on there. Those 2.5-inch propellers will definitely be okay on those motors. Snag some 3-inch propellers too; they're cheap. And yeah, compare the 2.5-inch propellers with the 3-inch propellers. I like toothpicks that are 2.5 rather than 3, but it's hard to find a 2.5-inch frame. All those toothpick frames are pretty cheap, so I mean, whatever. But if you can find a 2.5-inch toothpick frame that's lightweight, yeah, I like them 2.5 rather than 3. They're so light that like 2.5 is a big step up from 2. Future-proofing yourself, the 3-inch frame makes sense because down the road, if you want to make even more power, you throw like a set of 1303s on 3-inch props and you make big power. But yeah, and what's cool about the 3-inch frame is you can swing the 2.5-inch props. If you get a 2.5-inch frame, you can never go up to 3, right? So yeah, I would do that. SK with the last comment of the live stream, he says, Denzel the Terrible, what funny is CiottiFPV is calling me SK, but that is my college friend. Weird. That is weird. Thanks for hanging, friends. See you Wednesday. I'm going to go to sleep for a week. what I got free to watch? Analog footage inside that crazy dive. Here you go. Be good, people. It's a hotel I flew at Monster Jam up in Nashville. Bye-bye!